better be. It's gonna be the best yet.
Yeah. So like those people literally rehearsed. They literally waited, right? They're not going to McDonald's. This is like not this is not them slotting Trump in at a McDonald's location. This is a McDonald's closing down for today and staging a photo op, which is what that is. It's supposed to look like Trump is, helping out at the McDonald's, but in reality, it's weird though that he'd say like, I'll pay for it. Because like, what were they gonna do? Like, they weren't set up to charge these people that were essentially like hired. I don't want to say like actors, but they're like extras. You know what I mean? They like hired them to be in the shot. They hired them to be on the photo op, like, or they brought them in, right? Like there's no way they'd be paid. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird how much he's trying to sell this as being like, no, Trump helps out at McDonald's. I went to McDonald's. And anyway, let's watch the rest of this.
Debbie Cliff super chatted $9.99. This is the most 90s presidential campaign thing I've seen in a long time.
Now, are you saying that going to McDonald's is 90s? I'm curious. This is the McDonald's was more popular in the 90s or something like that. What's the I'm trying to understand how it's the most 90s thing that anyone could do. Like, I mean, it definitely fits. Like, I'm surprised that they don't find an old McDonald's that still has the playground and like let Trump slide down the slide and do all the, go up in the what is the burger cop's name? Can somebody help me out here? What's the burger cop? You know what I'm talking about? He's like a cop and he's a burger. Is his name Big Mac? Is that like the whole thing? His name is Big Mac? Have I got it right? Like, who's the cop burger? Bill Clinton literally cooked pizzas at my local place during one of his campaigns. Nice. I had a job at a pizza place, but I was like, it was my first job ever. And I think I wasn't like, they didn't trust me or something. I don't know. It was while I was in high school, right? And like, so I didn't get to like making the pizzas. My job was to watch the pizza go through the oven. And if a bubble popped up, I had a fork and I just reached back and I popped the bubble. Because when the bubble gets out of hand, it ruins the pizza, right? Sometimes there's bubbles. There was nothing we could do about it. Bubbles happened in the pizza. The only thing we could do is when the bubble comes up, you deflate the bubble. And then the pizza cooks normally, right? But yeah, I never got to I never got to actually making the pizzas, right? I did that and I went out and hung coupons. I put coupons on in people's mailboxes. That was my job at the pizza place. I think it was because I was in high school. They wouldn't let me actually make the pizza. Anyway, we're gonna get going here. We are live and alive on 3 different streams. That's amazing. And we're gonna see what this whole Trump works at Pizza Hut thing is all about, right? I'm curious. I'm just as curious as you are, honestly. But yeah, really weird night. We're at 10% of the dono goal, 10% out of 100%. If we hit 100% by the end of the stream, we will do something else. We will add actually a big chunk of content to the stream, right? The stream will get like twice as long. So what are our options again? We've got more Twitch drama. Something about Hassan and Ethan and actually why Twitch is not letting citizens of Israel sign up, right? Supposedly right now, if you are in Israel and you come onto Twitch with an Israeli IP and you try to sign up, it's not going to let you do it, right? So if you're curious what that story is about, that's what's winning right now with 63%. You can vote for it over on the main stream, over on the full scale stream. We've got our poll there, and that's what's winning. We've got a dono goal. If we get to 100% by the end of this stream, we're going to watch this and then the Obama speech from today, right? If we get to 100% by the end of the stream, then we'll get some extra content. And right now, it's, what content you pick in terms of voting right now. Twitch, Hassan, and Ethan drama is just like destroying everything else. But you can change that. You can change that by voting. You can change that also by when you donate, letting me know which of these topics you want to see. And I will be more than happy to put your money where your mouth is, adding your donation as a percentage, as a buff to the topic of your choice, and thereby helping your favorite thing become the bonus content tonight. This goes whether you are whether you're doing a super chat, a super sticker, whether you're gifting memberships or getting a membership for yourself. If you're signing up for my Patreon, that counts as well. If you're donating to my throne, that where's the, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that went over. Yeah, there it is. There it is, and there it is. That's the throne. That's the throne link. Or if you're over on Twitch, getting yourself a sub to get out of the top of the hour ad break, which happens every hour on the hour for a period of 3 minutes at a time. If you want to get out of that, you can do so for free with the Twitch Prime. You could do so for $6 with $6. You could possibly be gifted a sub, although that sort of thing more likely to happen if you're active in the chat. Let's go. We got Trump here. He is learning to cook fries, apparently. And we're going to see like what this is all about.
You can separate over here. Grab it. We're going to grab a basket, 2 hands. And then you can go right into here on the left. Yep, slowly, right here.
It's very okay, there we go.
Gently lower it into the oil. Don't want to burn yourself. Up, down a little bit further. Gotcha. There you go. And then we're going to hit our fry timer right here. And that one's going good. Now we can drop another one.
Can you imagine teaching a man who's never cooked for himself how to cook fries? I mean, it's you know, it's meant to be fairly easy, right? Everything's kind of optimized at McDonald's for being able to, you know, handle high traffic during the busy times, but it just like Donald Trump's never done anything for himself.
So we'll grab one more basket, 2 hands.
2 hands?
Yep. We're going to put it right here.
Okay.
We'll lower it slowly into the oil. Don't want to burn. Good.
We don't want to burn. Hey. We don't want to burn your soft hands, Mr. President.
Now we're waiting for that duty timer. So now when that duty timer comes up, again, hit the timer, take it out the oil slowly, give it a little shake so that way it don't get stuck together, and then lower it back into the oil.
Okay.
So this one will probably go off before anybody else. Oh, there we go.
Over here?
Yep, you're good. You got it. So now lift it out of the oil. 2 hands. And shake, and then slowly back into the oil, and that's good.
Okay, we got to confirm, Chad. I was asking you before who the cop is in the McDonald's like universe, right? The cop burger. Dragon Princess is telling me this is Big Mac, Chief Officer Big Mac, the Chief of Police. Is he like the Harvey Dent of McDonald's land? Is it possible that like half of him is cheese and the other half is like hamburger, and he's got this conflicted nature? He like flips a coin to. Oh my God, chat! I'm making it too much into Batman.
And then we got another one going off. So duty timer right here. Hit that button. Good. And then out the oil. Shake. And then back.
Give it a big shake. Give it a big shake, Mr. Donnie.
Very nice. And then our last one is going to go off. I'm going to give that a few seconds. I'm going to make a few more fries. So we got
Good. Yeah, let's make some more.
He looks like Mayor McCheese. You know, I think he's proof of he's a Nepo baby, right? He's got to be related to Mayor McCheese, and that's why he got the job. It's a corrupt town. McDonald Land is a corrupt land, right? Because the mayor is related to the chief of police, so whatever. Oh my God, chat! It's a Nepo thing.
Got about 10,000 people out there. That's a big crowd, huh?
Oh my God, it's a big crowd. But my question is, chat. I mean, obviously he's gonna reach into the McDonald's bag and pull out like, you know, enough hamburgers and fries to feed everybody. Obviously that's going on, right? But my other question is, will Trump walk on water? Will Trump change cherry Coke into wine? Right?
I love
What other miracles will our Messiah Donald Trump? What other miracles can we expect him to perform?
I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody...
And will he ooze ketchup from his hands and his head and his side, right? Will that happen as well, right? I don't know.
puts down...
I feel like we are building a religion as we speak. I feel like we are building a religion.
all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's, how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and
And what are you here to show, that it's not hard to make French fries? Is that what?
the heat, it was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again by
The beginning of this video is missing from the video. Wait, is this a teaser? No, this is supposed to be the video. Now,
Super chatted $9.99. Trump is famously a long-time business partner with Grimace. I think he's the true power behind the throne.
oh, jeez. It's all incestuous, isn't it? McDonald's land is just kind of incestuous. Sent you the live stream of this. Has the start. Oh wow, thank you, Natalie. Let's find that if there's more. You're talking about where he puts on the apron, right? I saw a little bit of that on Twitter, but you're right. It is missing from this video. I wonder why they goofed up like that.
she never worked.
They're fumbling the bag. Chat, this is prime Trump tent. That's why I'm coming to you tonight, right? I started stream way too late. I normally just would not start stream at all this late, and I would like edit videos or something like that instead. But no, I'm coming to you because this is important. This is crucial. I don't even think I'm not even saying that it's like a crucial moment in the 2024 election. It probably isn't. It probably doesn't matter. But what it matters for is constructing a new American religion, a religion based on capitalism, a religion based on exploitation, a religion based on high sodium content, right? That's what we're here to do today, right? We're here to watch the consecration of the Trump. We're here to witness this man slowly transform into Ronald McDonald before our very eyes. His arms turning into striped sleeves, his shoes turning into large clown shoes. His hair, well, his hair's okay as it is, right? But then his face, wait, no, his face is also, I mean, he's already partially clown already, right? This is what he does. It's kind of like a werewolf or something, or you know what I mean? It's like an altered beast kind of thing that he's doing. He's going to transform right before our eyes into Saint Ronald of McDonald land.
Worked at McDonald's. In other words, she's Lion Kamala. It's a great setup, huh?
That's a great setup. Yeah, I'm fucking thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be, yeah, this is a great, what of all the shit to say,
So what's the second handle for a lefty?
Exactly.
That's so you have lefties that have it.
Exactly, yes. And then also sometimes when you have no salt fries, you grab it with your right hand, you can grab the hand with the left, pour it onto there.
That's when you're busy, huh?
Exactly, yes. So this one's about to be done.
Okay.
20 seconds on that one. When that one's up, we're gonna, once it starts beeping, we'll say pool. We're gonna hit the pool timer.
Okay.
We're gonna lift it out of the oil. We're gonna hook it onto here.
Right.
Lift the handle up to let it drain. Give it like 10 seconds. Once it's done draining, we're gonna bring it over to the left side, put it into there,
Okay.
salt, and then shake them up.
Can they have some? Looks good, huh? These are definitely fresh. The good thing they're definitely fresh.
Yep, good.
Okay.
And then,
I pull.
exactly, and we're gonna hook it right onto there.
Okay, and I shake a little bit.
You don't gotta shake, you just hook it right onto there.
Okay.
And then we're gonna bring this handle up towards the sky.
Okay.
So that way the oil
Get rid of the oil?
Yep, drains right off. And then that's good. We're gonna bring them over directly to this one.
All right.
Very good.
Grab one while it's really hot. See if you can touch that sucker. I don't think so.
Then we're gonna bring that basket far right, all the way over to the right.
All right, he knows that one. Oh shit.
We got another pool timer. We gotta hit that timer. Bring that one up. I'm gonna take care of these.
Okay.
Right there, right there.
Everybody
Got it.
get rid of that, yeah?
All right. So I've been told by Natalie that this is the apocryphal footage where it really starts, right? It's kind of like, you know, I said we're building a religion here. This video is kind of like our Bible. You know that some Bibles contain more or less books. The Catholic Bible's got a dragon in it. Did you know that? Yeah. You missed out on that one, maybe, right? Unless you went to Catholic school and you were like, yo, there's a dragon in the Bible. That's right. That's one of the main selling points behind Catholicism, is that they've got a dragon in their Bible. In the other Bible, you got to wait till the book of Revelations, right? And then I don't even know, is it a dragon or is it like a beast? I'm not even sure. There's something in Revelations that's kind of similar, but regardless, chat, this is, you know, different Bibles have different books. And this one's got, you know, the beginning. In the beginning, there was Trump. Trump came to McDonald's. Trump said that Kamala mentioning that she worked for McDonald's was silly. Then he said that she didn't really work for McDonald's. He realized he could do a birther thing because, you know, what are you going to do? Like, you know, find a pay stub from like 1982 or whatever? What would it be? The shot like 1982, like sometime in the 80s, she would have worked there, right? And so he can be like, yeah, she didn't really work there. And then, oh no, I'll go there. I'll do the fries. I'll show you. It's really easy, right? It started out with him being weird about Kamala working at McDonald's, and it's ended up with him showing up and crossing that fine line between the ordering line and the
but now there are freaking communists invading radicals
in the back of the store, right? So that's what we're doing.
Against somebody that said she did, but it turned out to be a totally phony story. So if you don't mind, I want to work the French fry counter.
Absolutely.
Okay, how much are you paying me?
How much are you paying?
Hello, everybody.
And the irony of it, the reason that's funny is that this isn't even a McDonald's, you know, doing business, right? They're set up to, you know, have MAGA fans drive through the drive-through and for Trump make an order and for Trump to give them their food. That's all this is, right? This isn't this is as fake as you could imagine, right? And it's got to be like, to, you know, in order to secure the safety of a presidential candidate, you cannot just like have him work at an actual McDonald's and anybody be able to come up and you know, quote some lines from Scarface, for instance, right? That would be very bad. We can't have that, right? So we got to make sure it's a safe experience. We got to make sure that the cars that are coming through the line have been searched and that we know that there are not any sort of firearms. Trump's fans, even his fans, even those that like him, they have a bad habit of bringing firearms to Trump events. This happened at Coachella. So we don't want a repeat of that. We don't want anything like that. You know, we don't want to have this to turn into like a fourth, you know, supposed attempt, right? So, you know, it's a very safe, it's a very sanitary situation. And it's not a McDonald's actually operating. It's a photo op and really nothing more.
Indy's here. This is Indy. She has an apron for you.
And good job on the first day.
I think I should take off. Should I take off my jacket? I think so. The press wants to see this. Oh, he's a wealthy guy. He owns a lot of McDonald's.
You know, I saw this picture earlier. Like, I think it was like right around.
I think so. The press wants to see this. Oh,
it was around here somewhere. I thought this was AI. I didn't think this was real. I saw, yeah, his tie is absurdly long, isn't it? Look at that.
He's a wealthy guy. He owns a lot of McDonald's.
But yeah, like, no, I really thought this was AI.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. He can't tie his apron himself.
Mr. Trump, what's your favorite thing to order at McDonald's?
I like it all. I like every ounce of it, everything. But I do like the French fries where I'll be working.
I like every milligram of sodium on those fries.
I listened to Kamala. She said it was so hot It was so hot. It was such a
Because
tough
it
job.
was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
I learned everything.
I'm going to learn how to do it right now. Thank you.
Welcome here.
So President Trump, I have right to Jason. JoJo's gonna teach you some drive-through after his.
Wait, did they say the guy dude's name is Jojo?
And this is Frank. He's gonna be more than.
Oh, this is Frank. Wait, who's Jojo?
Let's go.
We're gonna start over here on the fry hub. I'm gonna take the lead at first and show you the basics, and then I'll pass it over to you. All right? So first thing you do.
Yeah, come on over. Thank you, sir.
First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a basket of fries. We're gonna take the fryer. We're gonna slowly and gently lower.
Wait, that's wild. That's wild. He just told the camera person, come over here. And the response was, thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me orders. Jeez.
We don't burn ourselves. We're gonna hit the fry.
So we saw this before.
And then we got a lot of fries today, so we're gonna cut another basket going. Grab the basket out. Lower it in. And then hit the timer. Now, within a couple seconds, the duty timer is going to go off. When that duty timer goes off, that basically means that the fries, we need to lift them out of the oil and shake them so that way they don't get stuck together. And then after that, we're going to put it back down. We're going to let the fryer cook. And then when they're done, we're going to bring them over here. So over here, you have all your fry cartons right here. There's a duty timer. So duty timer, we're going to press it. We'll lift it out of the oil. We'll give it a couple shakes and put it back into the oil. Same thing over here. Timer, out of the oil, a couple shakes, back into the oil. And when those are done cooking, our fry station, we got extra small, medium, and large cartons all right there for you. A lot of our orders today are going to be medium, so that's what we'll be focusing on. We've got the AccuSalt dispenser right here, so we're going to dump that on there. The way that this works, it is already measured for you on the salt, so all you got to do, turn it over, let it dispense, and that's that. Yep. That's really that.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
How long have you done this?
8 years.
And you're very good at it, right?
I appreciate that. Thank you. And then also one other thing, we're going to make sure we separate the fries when we put them into the fry station. So we don't want to mix old fries with new fries. We want to keep them all fresh and ready to go for the customers. I can show you real quick just for the carton. When you're opening these cartons, you're going to push on the side, push that bottom part up, and that's that, and then we're going to hold them like this.
I've had many of those.
There you go.
I've probably had more than you.
Probably, yeah.
Which is pretty sad when you get right there.
You don't want to squeeze too hard because then you're going to be kind of packing the fries in. We're going to make sure the fries.
You put them in through that, right?
Yep, exactly. We're going to grab our fry scoop and we'll put them in there. That will be that. Also, when the fries come up, we're going to give them a twirl, make sure they're all evenly salted, everything like that, and then we'll put them on the fry ribbon, ready to go for the orders.
What do you sell? Mostly medium size?
Exactly.
What percentage would that be?
That's going to be a Derek question. What percentage of medium fries? Yeah, I don't.
That's a useless fucking question. Come on.
Mostly.
I think
He's doing small talk, but yeah, he doesn't know what to say to these people, right? He's like, oh, 8 years doing this? Yeah, good job. Like, I don't know. He's insulting. He's...
Yeah. Medium's like the iconic size.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, and then once these come up, I'll salt them. I'll make a couple for us, and then I'll pass it over to you, and then I'll kind of stand by and make sure that it's flowing straight.
Very good.
And we'll probably drop it once it's your turn. We'll probably drop another basket, and then I'll take care of these. You'll take care of your basket.
Good job, isn't it? Not bad, right?
Yeah, very good job.
What is his point? Like, does he want to stick with the premise that Kamala never worked at McDonald's? Does he want to stick with the premise that Kamala was complaining about McDonald's? I don't even know it. Did she actually say it was like hot or unpleasant or?
You have a nice owner. Be careful, he's right there.
Great owner, yeah.
Be careful. 8 years, that's the end of that.
Jinx says this is good optics for him. This would be good optics if it wasn't for the fact that everybody can see.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
Everybody can see what's actually going on. This isn't a real McDonald's. It's not operating.
It was so peaceful up here, but now
It's not serving oh my god, it's not serving customers, right? This is a photo op, right? If it wasn't a photo op, this would be a good photo op. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't like the fakest shit in the world, then yeah, I guess. But as much as you're going to see like clips of him, you know, handling the fries, which, you know, he fails to follow the basic instructions. They make the instructions for, you know, stuff like fries, you know, like as simple as they can. And yet Trump is having trouble. And that's because he's never done anything for himself before. He's definitely never worked a job like this. And I'm not saying that to dunk on him. I am just telling you the truth, right? He is born the child of a rich man. He has never had to do anything, you know, with his hands, right? Here he is getting his apron on, because since he can't tie it in the back himself. What else do we have here? Handing the fries. But yeah, here it is. Here's the actual thing. So, you know, obviously, chat, if you had Trump come into a McDonald's and, you know, make orders of fries and give the orders to the customers, it'd be dangerous, because anybody could pop up in that line and potentially put the president in more danger. Instead, what we've got is a series of vetted customers, right? MAGA fans that have come through here. Their cars have been searched. Everything is safe. Everything is, you know, there's a perimeter that the Secret Service is running here, right? It's a very, you know, carefully cultivated situation, you know, and it's got to be, because, you know, you're dealing with a presidential candidate. Now, here's what they're trying to do, right? Here's their plan, right? MSNBC saying that McDonald's is bizarre and strange. Working at McDonald's is bizarre and strange. This is how Kamala Harris and the elites think everyday Americans, like Donald Trump. This is what they were planning to do this, right? Anybody says that this photo op is fucking weird, well, I guess you think working at McDonald's is weird. I guess you're looking down at working at McDonald's. Trump was dunking on the guy for having, you know, worked there for 8 years, right? If anybody cannot relate to this shit, it's this guy right here, right? And that's pretty clear. So yeah, it would be good optics, except that it's, you know, in the modern age, we can see how it's actually all put together. This is a rehearsal, by the way. They rehearsed going through the line to get their order, right? That's how fake this is. Again, you know, an announcement that the location is going to be closed because it's, you know, otherwise it would be dangerous. Let's.
Game today. Pittsburgh Steelers. Should be good.
It should be a good game. It should be a good game. A very good game.
So how long did they stay in Germany?
Probably 3 minutes.
So you did the initial shake. You do a shake after that?
I'll show. No, not really a shake. So the full timer's going off. We're gonna hit the timer. We're gonna lift them up, hang them onto there, and then we're just gonna drain them. So we're gonna hold it here for around 10 seconds. Let the oil drain off them. We'll do these ones too. Them up, drain them, roughly 10 seconds. Then we're done. We're gonna lift this, 2 hands, over, drop it in. And then we can put all of our old baskets right over here, ready to be refilled for the next time. Same thing, 2 hands, drop it in, run the baskets over
And
here.
you always keep them separate?
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to mix the old and new. Now we get our Ecusol, fold it over. You don't gotta shake it or anything like that. Dispense exactly what you need.
Wow.
And then like that, that's done. And then we start making fries. We grab our medium carton, sides, bottom, and then we're gonna give these big salt, give the salt evenly dispersed, and then all the way in, make sure they're all the way filled up.
That's pretty good, I'll tell you. To give any to the fake news. Hey, by the way, did you see the crowds out there for the fake news? They've never seen crowds like that. Take you a long time to beat them, wasn't it? That's a lot of people. What do you think, Doug? Gotta report back. There's something going on. Something's happening, Margot. That's not normal.
So you want to give it a try?
I do.
You can step right over here. We're going to grab the basket, 2 hands. And then you can go right into here on the left. Yep, slowly, right here. Slowly, gently lowered into the oil. Don't want to burn yourself. Up, down.
Here, let me show you. Let me show you how to lure fries into an oil fryer.
And then we're gonna hit our
Like, he literally can't do it. He literally has to have, like, the assist, right? This is...
timer right here.
Like, no, sir. We're into the oil. Into the basket, into the oil. We're going to cook these fries. We're not going to steam them over the...
That one's going good. Now we can drop another one too. So we'll grab one more basket, two hands. Yep. We're gonna put it right here. Lower it slowly into the oil, don't want to burn.
There you go. There you go, Trump. There you go.
That duty timer. So now when that duty timer comes up, again, hit the timer, take it out the oil slowly, give it a little shake so that we don't get stuck together, and then lower it back into the oil. So we'll probably, this one will probably go off before anybody else. Yep, there we go. Yep, you're good, you got it. So now lift it out of the oil. Two hands. Sir, can you slide on that? Shake, and then slowly back into the oil.
Are they trying to ask him to get out of the way?
And then we got another one going off, so.
Yeah, he's...
Here, hit that button, good. And then out the oil. Shake. And back into the oil. Very nice. And then our last one is going to go off. We'll give that a few seconds. I'm going to make a few more fries.
That's good. Yeah, let's make some more. Got about 10,000 people out there. That's a big crowd, huh?
Mr. Trump, why did you feel it was important to come here today?
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's.
It was a big part of her resume.
How tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry.
She would have never gotten hired as AG if she didn't have that McDonald's on it. No, what is he talking about? It's a job she had in high school. That's what she explained this, right? This is not that deep, Trump. This is not that deep.
She talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way. She never worked at McDonald's.
He's lying.
In other words, she's lying, Kamala. It's a great setup, huh? So what's the second handle from?
It's a great setup, huh?
Lefty?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's, so you have lefties on the head of that.
Exactly, yes. And then also sometimes we have no salt fries. You got it, your right hand, you grab the hand to the left.
Do you really love jobs, Donald, or are you just naming things in the room?
Exactly, yeah. So this one's about to be done.
Yeah.
20 seconds on that one. When that one's up, we're gonna, once it starts beeping, we'll say pull. We're gonna hit the pull timer.
Okay.
We're gonna lift it out of the oil. We're gonna hook it onto here.
Right.
Lift the handle up to let it drain. Give like 10 seconds. Once it's done draining, we're gonna bring it over to the left side, put it into there, salt, and then shake them up.
Can they have some? Looks good, huh? These are definitely fresh. The good thing, they're definitely fresh.
Can you take a step back, sir? And then
I pull.
exactly, and we're gonna hook it right onto there.
Okay, shake a little bit.
Now you don't gotta shake, you just hook it right onto there. And then we're gonna bring this handle up towards the sky, so that way the
Get rid of the oil?
Yep, bring up. And then that's good. We're gonna bring them over directly to this one.
Alright.
Very good.
Grab one while it's really hot. See if you can touch that sucker. I don't think so.
Then we're gonna bring that basket far right, all the way over.
Sounds like a bad idea.
Hang it right up there. And then we got another pull timer. So we gotta hit that timer, bring that one up. I'm gonna take care of these.
Okay.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists invading the
You got to understand that for Trump, McDonald's is a religion, right? McDonald's is a way of life, right? This is the Eucharist. This is the Holy Eucharist that he's preparing here.
And then we put that right far right, hang it right up there.
Yeah.
And then you want to do the salt over here?
Yeah.
I did these ones already. They're good. You just gotta do that one right there. So grab
Can
that.
you give them extra sauce?
Now that. Yep. Yep. Good. Right there. And then
He's like worried Trump's going to oversalt it.
put it into there and just give them a twirl. That way. Step up.
Okay.
Give it a twirl. Give it a twirl, Trump.
Right here, sides, and then bottom. You step out.
It kind of looks like he didn't disperse the salt like he was supposed to. I don't know.
Never even touch it, huh?
Those might be... Well, yeah, because they're fucking hot.
Sure. Can I give it to these guys here? Take it.
Want to do another one?
Yeah.
So again, we're gonna sides, bottom,
It's kind of wild. Also, somebody mentioned this earlier. He's not wearing gloves.
and then we're gonna hold it like this, so that way we don't squish the fry.
Okay, got it.
Exactly, and then grab your fry scoop. Probably get another scoop in there. We'll make
I think
sure.
so.
Step back, please.
Wow.
Let's do a little bit more.
You want to do another one?
Yep. And then this one we gotta dump it over here. But this one's clear for us, so we can put it right into here.
Let's do it.
That one back there, good. And then you can hang that one right back over there. Thank you. And then we're gonna grab our salt. Salt first. And then just one dump, no movement. Good, good, good. Run over. And then you're gonna grab the fry scoop and just give it a swirl, get it all that salt mixed up in there. Very good, very good. Step back in there.
Cool.
And we're gonna take from these ones first. Do this first in, first
Okay,
out, with
let's
the
do it.
freshest ones.
I like that. Like that. Turn it up. Keep it tight. We got the salt on it. Never touches the human hand.
Very good, very
Nice
good.
and full.
Thank you.
Good. Do another one? Come
Yeah.
on. I'll grab it. Okay. Never touched by a human hand. Nice and clean. Of course, my hands are nice and clean.
So
He's a good instructor.
I will say the one thing that's not fake is that, you know, he is going to give these orders to people, and ostensibly they're going to eat them.
I'm gonna give a real.
So yeah, the fact that he didn't wash his hands or put gloves on or anything is actually maybe a little bit.
Big one so that
But look, you got to understand, these people that are going to be coming through the drive-through, they are acolytes of the religion. They are believers. They are true believers in Trump's divinity, right? And so if there's any germs that are on his hands, any dirt or anything, it's like it's even better. It's even better. They would like allow Trump to walk all over them if they could, right? These people do not. If he were to spit in the fries, they would say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" Right? If he were to sweat in the fries, any sort of bodily fluid that makes it into their meal is actually a bonus for them. It's actually a bonus.
they're just pouring out of it. How good is that, Margot? Here, Margot, have them. She's been with me a long time. She's the only one can afford to have them.
Now, do you want to keep going with the fries, or do you want to?
No, I think it's good. I think it's good. Now, how about we bag them now?
Exactly. Okay. I'm going to back to JoJo. JoJo's going to help you with the bag.
Jojo, you're an expert at this, huh? Let's go.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
President Trump. So for our first order that's going out the window, we're going to need 3 medium fries. So would you like to put the medium fries in the bag?
I think so, yeah. So we'll do that.
So we're going to start
Because
on
you know
this
who's
side.
taking these, right? Mine. Do they ever ask for more salt?
Sometimes.
Supposing we want some extra salt, can we just go like that?
We will give them salt packets.
Watch this sucker. I love salt. Wait a
Debbie
minute.
Cliff
I
super
spilled
chatted $9.99. This is Trump's journey to Golgotha. He will be nailed to golden arches after this, and then
Yeah.
he will rise again from the grease.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've got the whole religion worked out. Here we go.
I'm very superstitious. Now it's over the left shoulder. Now I'm okay. Let's go.
All right, yep. So we're going to start from this side.
Yeah,
okay?
fine.
Wait. I'm sorry. Did I miss something? Did he just do the... Did he just do the thing where you throw salt over your shoulder for good luck?
I'm very superstitious.
We will give them salt packets.
Watch this sucker. Who's taking these, right? Mine. Do they ever ask for more salt?
Sometimes.
Supposing we want some extra salt, can we just go like that?
We will give them salt packets.
Watch this sucker. I love salt. Wait a minute. I spilled some. I'm very superstitious.
See what I said?
Let's go.
That's the holy rites that he's showing, right? This is going to be a religion. You better study this, chat. You better study this because this is your eternal salvation. is dependent on how closely you adhere to the actions and that Trump takes here and the words that he says, right? This is a new religion.
So we're gonna start from this side.
Yeah, fine. Okay, put him in standing up, right?
Correct.
Go, Joe. You're an expert at this, huh?
Yes.
How long have you done this? How long have you been here?
I've been working with McDonald's 10 plus.
10 plus? All different jobs? She doing a good job?
Does an excellent job.
He's trying to hide his disdain.
All right.
Does an excellent job.
This is beautiful. Let's go.
It's so weird.
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists invading.
How many would you put in a bag like this? Like 6 you could? 6 mediums?
5 is fine.
5?
Will stick the most. First order, get 3 medium fries, and they're waiting for you.
Okay, very good. Let's go.
Yeah, they're waiting. They're waiting, Donald. They're waiting to receive their Holy Communion.
Oh, I see. Now I'm going to see that. Oh, that's your customer out there.
Yes.
Wow, it's pretty good. Okay, let's say.
That's your customer. No, Donald, that's your fan. You know how this works. He's pretending. He's pretending that this is like a real... I mean...
Do you believe this?
Believe it or not, these people were here to rehearse, right? So that car has been through the line once already, has done a practice run to make sure that everything goes fine during this photo op.
He's a MAGA guy all the way.
He wouldn't have gotten in here otherwise. And yes, before you ask, chat, they have searched these cars.
Well, that's a good-looking group.
MAGA people are notorious for accidentally leaving their firearms in their vehicles, right? So these have been searched. These have been vetted. There's no danger here.
Hello, everybody. This is not a normal situation, is it? Huh? What a good-looking family. How did you produce those good-looking kids? Oh, they look like the what? They look like the what? How are you?
Wait, they're not mine? Wait, what?
All right. Appreciate all they get this order right here.
Thank you. And there'll be no charge. Trump is paying for it. Is that okay? 2024. Oh, you're going.
Wait. I'm sorry. He said those aren't his kids. Do they just put two people together in cars for the photo op to look like a family?
Oh, okay, great.
This is all on Trump.
Oh, hold on.
I'm allowed to do that, right?
Yeah.
Let's check and make sure it's everything you said it would be.
It better be. It's going to be the.
I'm pretty sure they weren't charging anyway, right? Remember, this isn't a restaurant operating. This is a photo op. This is rehearsed, right? So him saying, "I will pay for your food," like they weren't paying.
Myself.
You're the man. Make America
That's
great.
it. Right. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good time. Have a good time. That's great, isn't it? How cute is it?
Yeah. Look. If you're a MAGA sycophant, if you are a true believer in this religion, I hate to break your immersion, right, and tell you that this is not a normal McDonald's operating, selling food, right? No money is changing hands. This is a photo op, right? That's why there's those cameras right there.
Yeah, they did both things.
You like them both at the same time?
Yes, that is right.
Hello, how are you? You're a good-looking guy. I will. I promise. Thank you very much. That's on me. Okay? Have a good time. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the White House. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, fellas. Come on.
Wait, I don't understand. Why did you say I'll see you at the White House? Obsessive Audio says, "Bless me, Father. I asked for your forgiveness." Oh my God, chat's building this religion faster than I am.
And this is their order.
That's thousands of people. Hello, how are you? What a beautiful woman. Look at a beautiful child. It's like the perfect looking person.
The perfect looking person? What?
Thank you. Hi, Mom.
Good luck to you.
Mom over there. Thank you very much. Thank you, darling. You have a great mom? Good or great? That's right. You knew what to say. Thank you very much. Thank you, darling. Wow. So nice.
All right, you're doing a good job.
Okay, these are nice people we're meeting, huh?
Yes, and this is, so your hands won't be too heavy.
Hey, look at this guy. I'm not going to mess with him, huh?
How you doing,
You look
sir?
fantastic. Hello.
My new baby boy.
How are you? Your new baby. How are you?
Doing great.
Kids, how are you? So this is compliments of you, okay? All right. You go have a good time. Don't eat too much, right? Thank you, man. You take care. Thank you, honey. Have a good time.
But like, no, he has to act it out like that we were going to charge these people, but no, this is compliment. I'll take care of it. No, I'll pay for it. Can I do that? No, it's like, yeah, that's...
Thank you. It's cute. This is fun. I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again.
Thank you.
I mean, you might have some free time on your hands after November 5th. I'm just saying. Or not. You might be doing court.
Look at that. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Nice to see you.
You made it possible for ordinary people like us to meet.
You're not ordinary.
I mean, thank you so much.
You
for
are
your
not
presence.
ordinary.
I mean, he's telling the truth. They were selected, right? These people were vetted. They were selected. These aren't random people that were hungry for McDonald's. These are Trump fans that were chosen. They're the chosen ones.
And you are the type of person we want to be the president.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, I took a bullet. That's right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
When you think about it, I guess that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Beautiful
One
wife.
picture?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Have
very
a good
much.
day. God bless you.
Great honor.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Okay,
then that's-
President Trump, this will be your next order. Your next order.
Both of them?
Got you.
Hello, everybody. I'm having a lot of fun here, everybody.
Oh
Look
my
at-
God! Oh
look
my
at the
God!
fake- Look at all the fake news over there. Hello, everybody.
You can fake this,
And
right?
you know, this is compliments of Trump, okay?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. He's the president.
Yes.
Please don't let the United
Nobody had their money out. Notice nobody had their credit cards out. Nobody reached for their purse or wallet. Yeah, no, this was going to be...
States become Brazil, my native Brazil.
Oh, we'll keep it
Please,
good.
please, please.
We're going to make it better than ever, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Mr.
Compliments
President.
of Trump.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you over there.
Oh my God.
Have a good time.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
You
see
too,
you.
Mr.
Bye,
President.
darling. Have a good time. Thank you. How good are these people?
Did you order anything yourself?
I'm going to take plenty. I'm going to definitely have French fries for the plane. Have you seen the people over there? That is thousands of people.
Watch down, Mr. President.
It's great, huh? How are you? Nice to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, it's Pixel, bro. That's what I said. That's what I said, right? I don't, look. It wouldn't be safe to have, like, just insert him into a McDonald's and have him give people's orders, right? Because somebody could come up like and quote Scarface to him, right? We can't have that. And especially even with the fact that these are Trump fans, these are Trump sycophants, these are adherents, these are true believers to the Trump religion that are coming through here. They were chosen, for their adherence to the Make America Great Again agenda. Even though they're those kind of people, they still had to search the cars because MAGA people, like the last supposed assassin, are known for leaving their firearms in their cars, right? So the Secret Service definitely, searched all the cars, right? There's no. This is a safe and sterile environment. Let's just put it that way.
Here's my guy. Great cinematographer. Not enough. I want more. I want more money. No, I'm big. I'll tell you what, it's a great franchise. It's a great company, and they've been very, very nice. And if you look at really what's happening, look at the crowd over there. Look how happy everybody is. They're happy because they want hope. They need hope, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to give, much more than hope. We're going to take hope and make it fact.
Mr. President, you actually have worked at McDonald's now versus...
Now I have worked at McDonald's. I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala. Okay, she never worked here.
So again, this is kind of a repetition, like, right? Where did Trump start? He started by denying Obama was born in the United States. He started by asking for the long-form birth certificate from Barack Obama, and now he's come full circle, denying Kamala Harris her first job, right? Asking for her, I don't know what she would have, like, from 1982 or whenever she worked this back when she was in high school, right? But no, he's gonna deny that too. He starts off, yeah, this is a religious thing, right? Just like in Christianity, you will deny me 3 times before the cock crows. Trump will deny 3 things before his cock falls off. I don't know.
I worked 15 minutes more than Kamala, so worked at McDonald's. I'm going to say, because she's lying Kamala, that's why. Why would she lie? She shouldn't lie about it. McDonald's confirmed 4 times now she never worked.
He's lying now. And it's weird for him to call anybody a liar because he's been caught lying. It's not a question, does Trump lie? It's a question, does Trump, how often does Trump tell the truth, which is less often than he lies. Most of the time, if his lips are moving, he is lying. So, for him to criticize anybody else for lying, and especially when it's just like, yeah, no, your first job, you didn't do that. Like, if I was running against Trump, would he tell me that I hadn't worked for Papa John's? Would I have to get proof that I had popped bubbles on those pizzas as they're coming through the conveyor belt?
She never worked here. But let's not talk about that. It's an amazing business. It's an amazing country. And we're going to make America greater than ever before. We're going to do it. And it's companies like this. Look at the enthusiasm. I mean, that's thousands of people over there. They go miles back. That's incredible.
And we conveniently can't see them.
So, look at that.
I mean, there's definitely a crowd there, right? But
the Pittsburgh game tonight, and we look forward to it. And it should be a good game. And, yeah, good team. They have a great coach. Pittsburgh, great coach. And we'll see how it is.
I would say I'm surprised that they don't try to show the crowd along with this, but at the same time, I'm not, right? If he says 10,000, you better not see a crowd and be like, that is 150 people right there, sir.
Well, this is a great job to take at the beginning, and it requires expertise. I'm going through the French fry stuff.
It's weird how he says that. It's a great job to take at the beginning, despite the fact that he's just talked to 2 people who have worked at McDonald's for 8 years and 10 years, right? The fact that he says it's a great job to take at the beginning implies that he doesn't want, to require McDonald's to pay its employees a living wage, right? If it's just a high school job or a summer job or whatever, something to start out with, quote unquote, then there's no need. There's no need to make sure that there's benefits. There's no need to make sure that people are paid enough to actually live that way. I saw something on, let's see if we can find it on Twitter. I saw something on Twitter earlier talking about the pay rate at McDonald's in, I think it was Denmark versus in the United States. Let's see. Staged the McDonald's event at McDonald's that was closed. Franchise owner at this McDonald's has been fighting against raising the minimum wage. It's been the site of protests in the past for working conditions. So here's the McDonald's in question. People are asking for a $15 wage. There's the sign showing that it's been closed for the day. There's that again. There's Bill Clinton. I'm going to see if I can... Oh, God. That's great. That's awesome. Look at that. Name a more iconic duo. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. What does Tim Waltz say? The guy spent decades stiffing workers' pay, cutting overtime benefits. Oh yeah, he famously bitches about paying overtime. Like, right? He wants no tax on overtime. That's great because he doesn't pay you for overtime to begin with, right? You know who's actually worked at McDonald's and joined workers on picket lines and fights for working people? That would be Kamala Harris. Now, I want to see if I can... Oh, there we go. There we go. So this is what I was telling you about, all right? Check this out. McDonald's USA, employees get $15 an hour. That location does not pay $15 an hour, right? Notice that location does not pay $15 an hour. There were protests fighting for $15 an hour at that location. No benefits. Big Mac is $5.90. McDonald's Denmark, employee $22 an hour. 6 weeks vacation, I would assume, paid, 1 year maternity leave, life insurance, and a pension. Denmark, they take care of you. Big Mac, you would assume, like, oh my gosh, they got to pay their employees so much. It must be like a $20 Big Mac. No, it is 24 cents less to get a Big Mac in Denmark. Anyway.
It's a whole big process, and it requires great expertise, actually, to do it right and to do it fast. Yeah.
You appreciate McDonald's for now. You appreciate McDonald's for now.
Well, I do appreciate maybe a little bit more. Yeah, you take it for granted. You say, "Give me French fries." I'll never forget this experience. Okay. Now I know how to do it. It's very good. But you know what? It's beautiful. It's clean.
Wait, Davy Cliff is saying, could you play the Trump Grimace commercial? I think it will hold great significance. Wait, is there a Trump Grimace commercial?
It's really nice. You never touch them. I always figured somebody stuffs them in with their hand, and I don't like that. And they don't do it that way. You never touch them. It's really great. So I want to thank you all for coming out. And we're going to see you soon. We'll see you at the next stop. And then we'll see you later on at the game. I love Pennsylvania. I went to school at the Wharton School at Penn, so I love Pennsylvania. Always have.
President, are you going to the Trump store? It's around the corner. It's about 2 miles down.
They have a Trump store.
Yes, sir.
I'd love to go. I don't know if Secret Service could work it out. I'd go there. How about that? Could we do it?
I don't know how you do
Can
it.
we go to the Trump store? They have a Trump store. I don't know. People open up Trump stores all over the country, and they're beautiful. It's 2 blocks down.
How do you do it? What's your secret?
Check it out.
10-15 minutes. Take a look, sir.
I do it in 2 seconds. They have Trump stores all over the place. I get nothing out of it. You know what I get? The presidency out of it. That's all I get. Anyway, I love these people. They open up the Trump store. They do great. And that makes me feel good. Thank you all. We're going to take a look at the Trump store. If Secret Service can do it, I'm doing it. I like the idea. We have plenty of time.
So, I mean, this is another thing about Trump. Where Trump goes, suckers will follow, right? People that fall for his appeal, his political appeal, are also likely to get scammed on a million different things. A lot of those things are from him, right? He sells the Trump trading cards. He sells the Trump Bible. There's a few different products. He's got like NFTs. But in addition to that, there are people that make products with his image or with his likeness, right? A la the Trumpy Bear, the Trumpy Trout, the Trump Burger in Austin, Texas, right? There's a lot of people that are just that recognize that he's got a flock of very vulnerable, very impressionable, very easy to con sort of people, and they're going to rip those people off too. They're going to charge them way too much for shitty Trump products.
I don't know. What do you want? Do you want something when you're there?
French fries.
I'll tell you what, how about if we gave you some French fries, all right? There you go. That's sort of a bribe, but I think a bribe for $1 is okay, right? I'm going to get you some French fries. Somebody come up here and take them. Let's get them some French fries, okay? These for the fake news. These guys...
Oh, God, I forgot about the sneakers. Remember the golden sneakers?
They're nice and warm and comfortable, right? All right, good. Give me a couple more of that. Oh, you're very stingy with the product. Look at that. She's a good worker. You want to have... That's the kind of people you want to have work. She gave them 1 French fry for 30 reporters outside.
Would you like 2 in the bag?
2 in a bag, yeah.
Okay.
2 in a bag.
Thank you.
We'll throw them out the window. Go far. You having a good time today, everybody? Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Well, a lot of people look forward. They kept saying, when are you going to McDonald's?
But now there are
And I said, let's do it.
invading
So we have the owner. We have a man that's a friend of mine. That's a great guy. How many McDonald's do you own?
I don't know. I just set this up. I'm the health club.
Yeah, but don't they go well? I know you're the health club. I thought what you do is you eat McDonald's and you go to the health
And I
club.
get you to come to
It works out actually pretty good. Thank you, Doc. That's cool. Here you go, kids. Go have these. There's plenty of them in there for you, okay?
All right, thanks.
You want to move them back? Yeah, you'll love it. Here,
Sure.
here you go.
What do you think this will move the needle for you in Pennsylvania?
I don't know. I'm doing very well. We're leading by quite a bit. She has no fracking. She's never beautiful.
So yeah, I don't know if we'll have time for it today, but he's quoting you fake numbers, right? There are real numbers from Pennsylvania, and it's pretty much tied. Things have gotten even tighter, if you can believe it, right?
That's going to cost Pennsylvania 500,000 jobs, and the revenue's untold.
How do you connect with us voters?
I think just by being myself. I want to be myself. All I want to do is be myself. They know what they have. We had the best economy ever. We had the strongest borders ever. We had a military that knocked out ISIS in a few weeks as opposed to years, which they were thinking they would take. We beat ISIS in literally record time, very quickly and decisively, and we did a great job. But we had the greatest economy ever. We had the best border ever.
Being conciliatory versus confrontational. Just write that out.
Well, I always like to be conciliatory, but sometimes confrontation is important. And as an example, when you negotiate with other countries, when they've been ripping you off for years, because our country's been ripped off for years and years with other countries and by other countries, even our friends. And we've changed a lot of those trade deals, and we're going to change the rest, and we're going to bring jobs back to our country.
Either way, will you accept the results of the election?
Yeah, sure. If it's a fair election, always. I would always accept it if it's a fair election. We're leading in all the polls now. We're leading in every swing state, and we're doing well. And it's no, I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, we just had an RCP said we're 90.
So yeah, like for the record, all right. Trump is leading in Georgia. He's leading in North Carolina, and he's leading in Arizona. Kamala's leading in Michigan and Pennsylvania, and I think Wisconsin. I'm trying to remember. They're tied in one. Oh, is it Pennsylvania? They're tied in Pennsylvania, and I think Kamala's leading in Nevada and Michigan and Wisconsin, but actually not by much. But all of these leads are by, at most 1 or 2%. So everything's within the margin of error. It is looking like it's a coin toss. A coin toss. Yes, it's a coin toss.
0.2% chance of winning. I think that's pretty good. So we'll see. Those are pretty good odds. I like that. I'll take that right now. Right? So thank you very much.
Hi.
Who are you with?
I'm Eva. I'm with CBS Philadelphia.
CBS, are they the ones that did 60 Minutes?
Yes.
Are they the ones that changed their answer to make it positive?
I'm not with the network. I'm
So Trump's referring to the fact that he backed out of 60 Minutes, right? He was supposed to appear with Kamala, not with Kamala Harris, but on the same night as Kamala Harris. It's kind of a tradition that 60 Minutes talks to both candidates. He backed out, claiming that Leslie Stahl had said that the Hunter Biden laptop was from Russia. Leslie Stahl never said that, right? So he's asking somebody to apologize for something they didn't do. And he gave that as his reason for not showing up. He's been backing out of a lot of things.
So, well, we can't write the statement, but when some people say that Harris might be more unifying.
Unifying. I think she's the most divisive person I've ever seen. And she lies about her job applications, and she's telling some horrible lies, but she's a very divisive person. And I think it shows up in the polls. I think I'm the one that brings everyone together. We had the greatest economy we've ever had. We had the best job numbers ever. We had the best border ever. The Border Patrol, by the way, for those that haven't heard, the Border Patrol a couple of days ago gave us their complete and total endorsement. They said Trump was the best president we've ever had, and they said she was the worst we've ever seen at the border. She did the job she did on the border, and that really breaks our country.
So yeah, in addition to backing out of 60 Minutes, Trump has also recently backed out of sit-down interview with NBC in Philadelphia and CNBC's Squawk Box.
They allowed so many people into the country, 21 million people, 13,000 of which were murderers released from prisons all over the world. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, geez. Yeah, lest I forget, the Shade Room. The Shade Room. Yeah, he also backed out of the Shade Room.
Before you lose him. He's my kind of guy. If you want ice cream, I'll get you some ice cream. Everything working good? You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job? Thank you, everybody. So we'll see you at the next stop. But I hope you're going to grab that crowd because they say that's 10, how many? 10,000? How many TikTok channels? TikTok, how many hits do we have on TikTok? 10 billion views. And that's TikTok Jack. He's become very, very famous. Yeah, BB called me this morning, and he's obviously got things going well. He will call me on occasion.
BB called me this morning, right? It's a strange thing with Trump that he's able to benefit from the fact that Biden and Kamala's policy regarding Israel is so bad, and like it's so bad that you know people will out of desperation and hope assume that maybe Trump's would be better. Like, how could it be worse? It actually can be worse. He told Israel they should finish the job, which one can only make considering what Israel's been doing to mean unalive the rest of the Palestinian people in Gaza, right? That's Trump's stance, is being fully on board for.
Like to hear what I have to say. Yesterday morning and a couple of days before. Well, I can't tell you that I can't tell you. It would be very inappropriate. But they're certainly in a better position, and fortunately they didn't listen to Biden and to Harris. You know who Harris is, right? Kamala. They didn't want him to do this, and Israel is much safer now than it would have been if they had they did not listen to Biden or Harris.
So he's talking about the acts of war that Israel's done, the acts of terrorism that Israel has undertaken in Lebanon. With a pager attack, literally weaponizing pagers, literally putting exploding pagers into Lebanon and harming a lot of civilians. In the meantime, attacking people who were trying to negotiate some sort of peaceful settlement. I mean, these are the kind of things that Israel's been up to. Essentially, taking a war against Gaza and turning it into a regional war against Lebanon and Iran, and who knows who else by the end of it.
So we're going to the next step. Well, I think these people work hard. They're great, and I just saw something across this. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. These are great franchises and produce a lot of jobs, and it's great. And great people working here too. Really, really good people. So yes, ma'am. It's Kamala's birthday. He's 60 years old. Yes, I would say happy birthday, Kamala. She's turning 60. I think I'll get her some flowers. Maybe I'll get her some flowers. I'll give her some McDonald's. I'll get her a McDonald's. No, it is her birthday. It is true, right? Happy birthday, Kamala. Happy birthday. See you later. Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Trump, thank you very much.
That's a strange place to do a news conference. Wasn't that a strange place to do a news conference? I want to thank you very much for the use of your beautiful store. It's essentially a store, and
it's essentially a store. What do we call one of these?
That's great. So
you can tell Trump's not used to picking up his own McDonald's.
About the Trump store down the block. That's nice. Are we going to be able to go there?
It's about 30 minutes down the road. We're
Oh, 30 minutes. That's not down. That's a long way. We'll pay it our regards. Right? Good job. Thank you very much. How long have you had it?
This location about a year. I've been an operator for 12 years.
I see. So this is good.
And you still won't pay your employees a living wage. Great.
Are you going to be able to grab 10,000 people outside, and maybe that's a lot of people, right? You got to say that's impressive, isn't it? Very impressive. Thank you all. Who are you with? NBC?
CBS, sir.
CBS. You mean the home of 60 Minutes?
I don't work there.
They did a bad thing. They got caught. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, as they say. That wasn't good. 60 Minutes. Don't worry. They won't put this on.
You got caught with your pants down, sir.
Have a good time. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Doug. How do you like this stuff?
He did his own President Run Day impression on 60 Minutes. He ran from the interview.
What are we doing? Something else?
Ran from the shade room, ran from the squawk box, ran from the affiliate in Philadelphia. So we're going to take a look at something that related to Trump. Like I said, Trump's career as a politician started off by claiming that Barack Obama was not in fact born in the United States, but was born in Kenya instead, and that the birth certificate from Hawaii was fake. Now he's claiming that Kamala Harris's employment with McDonald's was fake. So let's check in with Barack Obama. Do I have this one on? It's the... Here we go.
You might still love him, but you wouldn't put him in charge of nothing. And yet, when Donald Trump repeatedly lies or cheats or shows utter disregard for our Constitution or just insults people, when he calls service members who died in battle losers, or fellow citizens vermin, or the enemy within, people make excuses for it. They say, well, he's not serious. He's not. Everything a president says is serious. Everything that somebody who's aspiring to office is listened to. And people make excuses for it. They think, well, it's funny, or it's okay as long as our side wins. And I've noticed this especially among some men who seem to think Trump's behavior of bullying people or putting them down is somehow macho, sign of strength. I'm telling you, that's not what real strength is. Never has been. Real strength's working hard. Real strength's carrying a heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions. Real strength is telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping those who have less or need some help, standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That's what we should want in our sons and our daughters. That's what I want to see in the President of the United States. And the good news is, you have candidates to vote for in this election that have demonstrated that kind of character, who know what real strength looks like, who will set a good example and do the right thing and leave this country better for it. Nevada, that's the choice in this election. It's not just policies on the ballot. It's about who we are.
Does Obama have COVID? I think he's just sore throat.
Making you feel excited or scared or hopeful or frustrated or anything in between. Do not sit back and hope for the best. Get off your couch and vote. Put down your phone and vote. Vote for Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. And Tim Walz is the next vice president of the United States. Vote for Jackie Rosen and this whole incredible Nevada Democratic ticket. Help your friends and family like a desert sheep. Now, I love you back. I do. That's why I keep coming back. But I am here today for a very important reason. And that is to make sure not just that you vote, but everybody you know votes. For your members of Congress, Stephen Horsford and Dina Titus and Susie Lee. For your Senator Jackie Rosen. And for the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris. Now, you already heard from Jackie and some other speakers, but I'm going to reiterate this. We just got to drum this home. Here in Nevada, voting has already started. You can vote early by mail or you can vote in person. You can still register to vote at any early vote center in your county. Just go to iwillvote.com/NV, iwillvote.com/NV, and you can find a vote center or a ballot drop box near you. And then help your friends and family make a plan to vote. Because together we have a chance to choose a new generation of leadership in this country and start building a better, stronger, fairer, more equal, more hopeful America. Now, but before I start digging in, it's kind of hot in here. So I want everybody to bend their knees a little bit if you're standing. You know, if you got...
Okay, it's a good time to get yourself some water if you haven't had any water in a while. If you need to take some medication or anything like that, this is your reminder. Take care of yourselves. I care about you. So if there's anything you need to do right now, a good time to do that. He's getting into it. It's gonna...
All right, now that we've gotten that taken care of, the preliminaries. We know this election's going to be tight. And it's going to be tight because a lot of Americans are still struggling. You know, as a country, we've been through a lot over these last few years. You think about it. We had a historic pandemic that wreaked havoc on communities, on businesses. And then the disruptions from the pandemic caused price hikes. And that put a strain on family budgets. And so people started feeling like no matter how hard they ran, they were kind of treading water. And they started worrying, will my kid have the same kind of future I had? So I get why people are looking to shake things up. It's understandable. I understand it. What I cannot understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you. Because there's absolutely no evidence that this man thinks about anybody but himself. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down that golden escalator 9 years ago. I mean, he is constantly, he's complaining, he's griping, and when he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. He's trying to sell you some gold sneakers. He was trying to sell you a $100,000 watch. Supposed to be Swiss made, but nobody in Switzerland really knows where it got made. He's trying to sell you a Trump Bible. Think about that. This is the Word of God. Gideon gives it out for free. He wants to sell you Word of God, Donald Trump edition. He's got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. And by the way, I'll give you one guess where those Bibles are made. In China. Yeah, this is Mr. Tough Guy on China, except when he can make a few bucks. Then he's all like, ain't nothing wrong with that. You cannot make this stuff up. You can't make it up. If this was an SNL skit, you'd be all like, well, that's, come on. That's over the top. No, he's doing these things. And the reason he's doing it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you. He sees power as nothing more than a means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut to help Mostly him and his country club buddies. He doesn't care if he costs more women their reproductive freedoms because it won't affect his life. Most of all, Donald Trump wants you to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, and between the quote-unquote real Americans who obviously support him and anybody who doesn't, because having people divided and angry and resentful and full of grievance, that boosts his chances of being elected. That's why he does it. Do not boo. Vote. Listen, I was backstage here and I was hearing y'all boo. Let me tell you something. Cannot anybody hear your boos? You know what they hear? Your vote. They hear your vote. They don't hear your boos. Vote. Now, so look, I like that. Go ahead. Now, I've spoken about Donald Trump's intentions, what his concerns are. They are not you. But there's another concern that I have about Donald Trump, which is his competence. Have you seen him lately? I mean, he is out there, he's giving these 2.5-hour speeches, just a word salad. You don't know what he's saying. At any given moment. He held a town hall meeting where, now the point of a town hall meeting, I've had like maybe 1,000 of them. The point is you meet with people and you answer their questions. He just stopped. He's all like, I don't feel like taking questions anymore. And then we're just going, he just played music for half an hour. Just swayed to Ave Maria and YMCA. I mean, imagine if Jackie or I did that. Now, our playlist might be better. But it is strange behavior. He called himself the father of IVF. I have no idea what that means. And neither do you. Huh. He said January 6th was a day of love. Said it. Boom, boom. Vote. Said it was a day of love. I mean,
Yeah, he said a bunch of other stuff about January 6th. He said that his crowd size on January 6th, and I kid you not, Chad, I've got the clip if you want to see it. His crowd size on January 6th was bigger than Martin Luther King's crowd size for the I Have a Dream speech. Not only is that objectively not true, that's fucking offensive.
Call up your brother, your cousin or something and be like, hey, have you seen Grandpa lately? What are we gonna do? But this is coming from somebody who wants unchecked power. Wants the most powerful office on earth with the nuclear codes and all that. Now, the point is we do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails. America's ready to turn the page. We're ready for a better story. Arizona, we are ready for a President Kamala Harris. That's what we want. And the good news is that Kamala Harris is ready for the job. I mean, this is a leader who has spent her entire life fighting on behalf of people who need a champion. Somebody raised in the middle class, worked at McDonald's while she was in college just to pay her expenses. Somebody who believes in the values that built this country. And she is as prepared for the job as any nominee for president has ever been. That's who Kamala is. And in the White House, she will have an outstanding partner in Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. I love that guy. Tim's a veteran. He's a teacher. He is a football coach. He's a hunter. Been a great governor. Working with Democrats and Republicans to get stuff done. And I just found out he can take vintage trucks apart and put them back together again. Now imagine that. You think Donald Trump can do that? Do you think Donald Trump's ever changed a tire in his life? Huh. You know, if he gets a flat tire, he calls Jeeves. Jeeves, change that tire. The point is, if you elect Kamala and Tim, they won't be focused on their problems. They're going to be focused on your problems. They understand too many folks here in Nevada and across the country are struggling to pay the bills. And listen, wages actually are steadily growing, and inflation is finally slowing. But for a lot of folks, the price of everything from healthcare to housing to groceries, it's still too high. It hurts. The question is, who's actually going to do something about it? Yeah, I know you know the answer, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Somebody's all like, I know. Donald Trump's plan is to give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. Now, wait, hold on. Some people hear that because I'm having conversations with folks. They're all like, well, I don't know, I know Trump's kind of crazy, but I remember the economy when he first came into office. I remember those first 2 years were pretty good. Yeah, it was good because it was my economy. Some of y'all remember what it was like in Nevada when I came into office. The worst financial crisis in history. The housing market collapsed here in Nevada. You remember that? Boarded up homes everywhere. Folks' mortgages underwater. I spent 8 years cleaning up that mess that the Republicans had left me. And then I handed over to Donald Trump 75 straight months of job growth. And all he did with it was give a tax cut to the people who didn't need it, drove up the deficit in the process, and now he wants to do it all over again. So, if you're talking to somebody, and y'all know somebody who's all like, well, I don't know, I remember Trump, the economy that was pretty good. You remind them, it wasn't good because of anything he did. So that's point number one.
We went over some of this last night in the Trump interview with Patrick Bet-David.
Trump has got one answer. He wants to end the Affordable Care Act. He doesn't even really know what the Affordable Care Act is or how it works. He just knows I did it. No, that's the truth.
Yeah, for a guy like Trump, like, affordable health care doesn't matter. He can pay for whatever doctors he wants.
Had the nerve, the chutzpah, to say Donald Trump, quote, salvage the Affordable Care Act. There are a bunch of folks from Congress here. Let me tell you, he spent his entire presidency trying to tear it down.
Imagine.
He couldn't even do that right.
Imagine Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
After he was elected. Y'all saw this, he was at the debate. So the moderators asked a pretty reasonable question. It's like, well, you always say you want to, end the Affordable Care Act. What are you going to replace it with? And he kind of like stumbled, and then he said, well, I have a concept for a plan for how he'd replace it. What? What? I want y'all to think about this a second. Let's say your boss gives you an assignment, says to you, I need this done by Friday. Friday rolls around, and she says, so you finish that project I asked for? And you say, well, no, ma'am, I haven't actually started, but I do have a concept of a plan. Or, you know, we're here in Cheyenne High School. We got some high school kids here. You should try that on one of your teachers. You know, like, yeah, papers due date rolls around, everybody's turning it in, you don't have yours. I say, well, I do have a concept for a paper. What? How's that gonna go over? If it wouldn't work for you, why should it work for the President of the United States? But the good news is, Kamala Harris doesn't have the concepts of a plan. She's got an actual plan to make your life better. She got a plan to bring down the cost of things like groceries. She'll go after corporations that are jacking up prices, just like she went after big banks and for-profit colleges when she was Attorney General of California. To lower housing costs, Kamala will cut red tape and work with state and local governments as well as the private sector to build 3 million new homes. She has a concrete plan to do that, and then she'll give first-time home buyers up to $25,000 to help with a down payment. That is a concrete plan to help solve the issue of housing affordability. To lower health care costs, Kamala already worked with Joe Biden, Jackie Rosen, members of Congress who are here to take on the drug companies, bring down the cost of insulin, hearing aids, more than 50 prescription drugs. And as president, she'll never stop working to limit out-of-pocket costs and protect your care. And instead of giving more tax cuts to folks who don't need them, to billionaires, Kamala will give a tax cut to 100 million middle class and working people here in America. That's who Kamala is. That's what she stands for, not concepts of a plan, actual plans. Now, I got some more points. If you challenge Donald Trump or his VP nominee, Vance, if you challenge them on, well, these concepts don't seem to make much sense and nobody really understands them and the economists tell you they're not going to work, if you challenge them, they'll fall back on one answer. It does not matter what it is, housing, healthcare, education, paying for the bills. One answer, blame the immigrants. Don't boo. What'd I tell you? He wants you to believe that if you elect him, he will just round up whoever he wants and ship them out and all your problems will be solved. Now, let me tell you something, because I've been working on this for a long time. We have a real issue at the border. We are a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. We have to make sure the system works the way it's supposed to so that we've got legal immigration, which built our nation, where we've got folks like the DACA folks that I worked on behalf of to make sure that they grew up here, that we give them pathways to citizenship.
Sad.
We also have to have an orderly border.
Oh my God.
We have to have it fair. There's nothing, that's the truth. We have to fix some aspects of it that are broken. Si se puede. But when I hear Donald Trump talk, I keep on, you know, he's very quick to say to Kamala, well, you were vice president 4 years. Dude, you were president for 4 years. As I recall, you were up there in the Oval Office. So if rounding up and deporting millions of desperate people, many of them who are women and children, if that's the answer to everything, well, why is it that the number of undocumented immigrants were basically the same when he left office as when he took office? He didn't solve the problem, and I'll tell you why. Because he does not have a real plan. He has a concept of a plan, and it's a mean and ugly plan designed to foster resentment and divide people. You know what would actually bring order to the border? Help fix our immigration system? There was a bipartisan deal just a few months ago. Kamala Harris supported it, even though it was written by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress.
Oh my God.
That same bill,
I have no way to pause this. This is what's fucking with me.
Told Republicans in Congress.
I don't know if this is live or what, but
not because he thought necessarily that it wouldn't work, but because he wanted to keep the issue to campaign on.
I literally have to talk over him to say anything.
Is how he's gonna win this election. We do not need a president who will make problems worse just to make his politics better. We need a president who actually cares about solving problems and making your life better, and that's what Kamala Harris will do. And in order for her to do it, she is going to need a Senate full of public servants like Jackie Rosen. This is something that sometimes folks forget about. We need Kamala Harris in the White House. But I can tell you this from experience. You need a team. Presidents are not kings, although Donald Trump would like to think they are. You need a Congress that supports what you want to get done. Jackie has a long record of looking out for middle-class families, of taking on special interests to bring down costs. She's one of the most bipartisan members of the Senate. She doesn't care which party you're from. If you've got a good idea to make life better for the people of Nevada, she'll work with you. She's for.
Here we go again. This is how you lose elections. Nobody wants compromise with the fucking batshit MAGA Republicans. That is a fucked up thing to say, Obama.
The kind of person who's going to roll up their sleeves and help Kamala get things done. Folks who share our values, who want to move the country forward and not back. And one of those values is freedom. So let me talk about that just for a second. Because I don't think we've ever heard an election with candidates who understand freedom so differently. For Donald Trump and his cronies, freedom means just getting away with stuff. It's like he said in the middle of the pandemic. I don't know if people remember this. I remembered it because I was paying attention. People were dying, our hospitals were overrun. He's the president of the United States. And at one point
he's a little bit mad about that memory hole.
Responsibility at all.
The fact that people have erased in their heads the years of 2020.
Has ever uttered those words. But that's his idea of freedom. I do what I want, and I'm not responsible for anything. Well, we've got a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide our families.
On February 12th.
What the fuck? Oh my God.
Young Turks came.
Okay, I don't even know, chat. That is the wildest. Okay, that's a 15-hour and 17.
Water, take a sip. You know, I don't want anybody falling out.
Okay, so wait, now, oh my god, I don't even know. I don't even know, chat. This is the weirdest live stream I've seen. I'm trying to watch the rest of this, but that's the beginning. How long is the actual thing itself?
Those values. I made mistakes, but I tried to learn from them. And as I got older, I continued to benefit from people who realizing populations that at some point there was going to be a pandemic. And he himself into a pretzel on this issue. When he first...
Oh my god, it's so frustrating.
I can tell you this from experience. You need a team. Presidents are not kings, although Donald Trump would...
Okay, this is about where we were?
The person we need in Washington, Cortez Masto, who want to move the country forward. His cronies, freedom means just getting away with stuff. It's like he said in the middle of the pandemic. I don't know if people remember this. I remembered it because I was paying.
I just want to see where he's going with this. Again, this guy frustrates me to no end. You know, there's a lot of compromises that were made during his administration. His whole tack with the Republican was, I believe that at some point the fever will break. And you know what I want to do? Let's sacrifice Social Security to the Republicans, right? To show that we are good faith compromisers. We will reach across the aisle. Let it like the one fucking major accomplishment of the New Deal that is sort of still up there, right? Let's fucking compromise that away. Don't even think about raising the cap and making rich people pay their fair share into Social Security. Did you know that, chat? Social Security contributions are capped at, I think it's $150,000 a year, right? So that means that whatever money somebody makes over $150,000 a year, they don't pay Social Security on. If you lift the cap, Social Security is secure. That's not what Obama was offering, though. He was offering to literally, you know, make a deal with the Republicans to...
Narwhal_by super chatted $5. Check the comment I tagged you in.
Yeah.
Paying attention. People were dying, our hospitals were overrun. He's the president of the United States, and at one point he said, I don't take any responsibility at all. I am not sure any American president has ever uttered those words. But that's his idea of freedom. I do what I want, and I'm not responsible for anything. Well, we've got a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide our families, for our families if we're willing to work. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water and send our kids to school without worrying if they'll come home. We believe the true freedom gives each of us the right to make decisions about our own life. And it requires us to recognize other people have the freedom to make different choices than the choices we might make. You know, even on the most divisive issues, I've always said there are good people of conscience on both sides of the abortion divide. I respect anybody whose faith tells them that this is not something they believe in. I understand that. But if we believe in freedom, then we should at least agree that such a deeply personal decision should be made by the woman whose body is involved and not by politicians. And it's been fascinating to watch Donald Trump because I think he's starting to figure out, well, maybe this isn't a popular issue for me. So, and he'll say anything, right? So now he's trying to tie himself into a pretzel on this issue. When he first ran for president, he said he would support punishing women who got an abortion. A few weeks ago, he told a bunch of women, I will be your protector.
We still haven't covered that.
I'll tell you how he protected you. He handpicked 3 of the Supreme Court judges who overturned Roe versus Wade. He went out there and bragged about it. Now there are Trump abortion bans in 20 states, many of them with no exception for rape or incest. And he's out there saying...
But don't worry, chat. Trump says that'll work its way out, right? You just have to wait. You just have to wait. If you're pregnant now and you need emergency care, well, you're just kind of SOL, right? He thinks it can wait. He thinks there are people dead because of his, Supreme Court.
Everybody wanted it this way. No, they didn't. So Donald Trump may be confused. But let's be clear about what's at stake here. If you send Jackie Rosen back to the Senate, she and Catherine Cortez Masto will vote to restore the reproductive freedom that women had for nearly 50 years. And if Congress passes that bill, Kamala Harris will sign it into law. And here in Nevada, you don't have to wait, because abortion, reproductive freedom is actually on the ballot. You have a chance to vote yes on question 6 for reproductive freedom and keep women, not politicians, in control of their personal medical decisions.
So the fact that there's a measure on the ballot is it's one factor in favor of Kamala winning in Nevada. Nevada's going to be close. It's all going to be close, right? But
it's an example of how, as frustrating as politics can be sometimes, elections really do matter. Listen, I understand how, especially in today's climate, politics just seems so mean and nasty, and there's so many lies floating around, and people get on these doom scrolls on TikTok, and it's like, oh man, that's terrible. Oh, that's worse. That's terrible. Oh my God. And so you get frustrated, and it feels like nothing's gonna work. But the truth is, when you vote, it matters. It can make your life better, or it can make it worse. Sometimes I talk to folks who don't think it's going to make a difference whether Kamala Harris or Donald Trump wins. Yeah, no, you guys know people like this, right? I mean, they're not bad people. They're just like
$9.99. Do you think the Dems let Roe get overturned so they could have an easy thing they could have campaigned on?
that's an interesting conspiracy theory. In short, Davi, no, that's probably not what happened. But I will say that the Democrats' weakness, the Democrats' unwillingness to, you remember under Obama, there was that phrase that they used, I think Michelle Obama might have come up with it. They go low, we go high, right? And Obama constantly trying to compromise. And Obama saying, oh no, just one little bit longer, I got to compromise. The fever will break, right? He kept on thinking that at some point, the Republicans were going to be people that he could negotiate with instead of people who would destroy him, people who would try to destroy him, people who did things specifically, jammed up legislation specifically to make sure that his presidency, the presidency of the first black president was not something that people could look back at positively, like, right? Essentially, while Obama was crafting a way to compromise with the Republicans were, and even moderate Republicans were meeting in secret and planning to try to, just do gridlock in the Congress to keep anything from passing, right? So, the weakness of the Democrats under Obama, but not just under Obama, right? The Democrats had been weak. The Democrats had been doing their best Republican impersonation since the early 80s, since they were surprised by a candidate named Ronald Reagan, who was known as an extremist, who his background was more as an actor than as a politician, although he had been governor of California. Unlike Trump, he had actually done, he had held elected office before. But Reagan won against everyone's prediction. And the lesson that the Democrats took from that was, we got to be more like the Republicans. And indeed, some stuff had changed. Money in politics was always a thing in some ways, right? Influence, money, clout, got you your way, even under the New Deal coalition. But it was much more of a thing thanks to some Supreme Court decisions that impacted the 1980 election. And the Democrats' response was, we need to be more conservative. And they've been doing that shit ever since, right? Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, they are all part of what is called the Third Way, the Democratic Leadership Council. And the leadership, if you can call it that, is to fall in line with Reaganomics, essentially, but just go one little degree to the left. And this has been the Democrats' problem. This is still the Democrats' problem, right? The fact that they do not heighten the contradictions, that they minimize the contradictions between themselves and the Republican Party. You can see them doing this. Remember what he said about immigration? Under Obama, we talked about DACA. We talked about a pathway to citizenship. We talked about reform. Under Biden, after he caved into Trump, we talk about essentially a Trumpian immigration policy. In other words, the Democrats just caved in on that. And that makes every single part of the coalition that gets them into office, when they get into office, the coalition that got Obama elected twice, once with a pretty significant majority in the elected in the House and the Senate, and once with Joe Biden, and now is 50-50, gonna do the same with Kamala Harris. Right? When your coalition thinks that they might be, when every demographic in your coalition thinks they might be the next ones to get thrown under the bus, that does not make for a lot of confidence. That does not give people a lot of hope, a lot of change, a lot of hope to to be able to that something positive is going to happen. The best you can get is stopping the Democrats from giving in to the Republicans, right? And when we're talking about the Supreme Court, there wasn't actually anything the Democrats could have done once the Republicans made up their mind. I don't think so, unless somebody wants to let me know in chat, right? We're talking about Obama's administration. He had the chance to name one more Supreme Court justice, right? Scalia had died. He thought he would do it again. They go low, we go high. So he goes and he picks Merrick Garland, who's basically a Republican, who's a very centrist, sort of figure, sort of more on the right than on the left, right? As a bone to throw to the Republican Party in order to be like, hey, your conservative justice guy died, but that's okay. We'll give you another kind of conservative person, right? I'll give you the least left Supreme Court justice I possibly could, right? And that I don't think that anything would have changed had Obama named somebody that would actually protect rights, would actually stand up in the face of the Roberts Court as it tries to take away Roe versus Wade. But it kind of didn't matter because the Republicans made up their mind. They were going to defy convention, and they were going to not allow the president to have a vote on his nomination, right? This had not been done in quite some time. And the Republicans are the ones that did it. So, you could say, at some point, if the Democrats had decided to play hardball, maybe they could have gotten, maybe they could have done the same thing to the Republican Party, right? They're theoretically, right? There's something to what you're saying, Davy. It's a way too long of an answer. But that being said, there's a directional truth in your conspiracy theory. And that directional truth is that the Democratic Party shows weakness way too often. And that betrays the idea that they don't really believe in what they're saying. And when you don't believe in what you're saying, you don't tend to win. You don't tend to be trusted by people. And this is the problem with the Democratic Party, right? So while I don't think that it's, a literal conspiracy where the Democrats let this happen in order to have this issue, they do throw people under the bus. They do cave in on things that they don't need to cave in on. They have a fear of being portrayed as being liberal, as being left wing. They feel a necessity to, sometimes even cut social programs to, lower the budget deficit to try to get a surplus. And every time the Democrats get a surplus, what happens? The Republicans come in and they give it all away to the rich. So there's something to what you're saying. But yeah, I don't think it's as simple as that there was a secret plan of Democrats to lose the court.
Politics, it's not going to make any difference in my life. They figure it's not going to have an impact. And I constantly have to remind them, yes, whoever's president, they're not going to.
The fuck is directional truth? 64 gigabyte. I think I'm ripping off the Republicans there. Sometimes when they're caught lying, they'll say it's a directional truth, right? The eating the cats, eating the dogs thing, right? If you pin down JD Vance or something and you're like, hey, like there's no cats that got eaten, there's no dogs that got eaten, there's no proof of anything that you're saying, he'll be like, oh, but it's a directional truth. The people are upset with immigration, and even if the immigrants aren't actually eating your cats and dogs, they're taking something away, right? That's the kind of thing. And so when I said it's a directional truth, right, what I mean is that the idea,
but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
The idea that the Democrats are craven and weak and they cave on issues that are important to their constituency, that is true. The idea that the Democrats purposely lost the Supreme Court is most likely not true, right? That's what I mean by that. It's not literally true, but there's something to that. You get what I'm saying?
End poverty overnight. They're not going to end racism, right? You're not suddenly going to not have to go to your job and listen to your boss. Things are not going to suddenly be perfect. But
yeah, and this is important. This is important. If you want a democratic workplace, you're not going to get that from the Democrats. Unfortunately, because of our system, because of the two-party system, that is all you have as a choice as far as voting, right? No other vote is going to have an effect. You've got not great, and you got way worse. Those are your options. Not great or way worse, right? Kamala being the not great, Donald Trump being the way worse. But yeah, it's going to take more than Democrats long term. People need to organize. People need to get ready, especially when you've got a party like the Republican Party that is falling apart, that has a demagogue, essentially a cult leader, who at some point will be no more. He will not be a factor. At some point, he will stop mattering. And at that point, there's an opening for a new second party. And I would love to see the second party of the United States, instead of being a party to the fascist right of the Democratic Party, I would love to see that be a party to the left, right? That's the opportunity. But yeah, for this election, it's a pretty bad set of choices, and that's because the Democrats refuse to meaningfully heighten the contradictions between themselves and the Republicans. And that's what has us in a situation, chat, where the odds of president are 50-50. There was a while over the late summer and the early fall, right, where Kamala Harris had about a 60% chance of winning. That's, the best that it's looked so far. And through a series of just spineless moves on the part of the Biden administration and the Harris campaign, she has, lost that extra 10%, and it's anyone's guess who's going to win, right? It is 50-50 at this point. Pennsylvania, it's a literal statistical tie, according to 538.
You know what? It makes a difference. When I passed the Affordable Care Act, almost 50 million people got health care that they didn't have before. That made a difference in their lives. More than 50 million people with pre-existing conditions can no longer be denied coverage or charged more. It made a difference to them. Listen, when I was president, I'll give you just one other example. And I want you to use this example when you're talking to folks who say it's not going to make any difference. I had been talking to scientists for a while, and
Okay, so wait, Davy Cliff's got an idea here. RGB should have stepped down. Yeah, during the first half of Obama's term. That's true. But that is literally Ruth Bader Ginsburg's choice, right? You can't really blame that one on the Democrats writ large. You can blame that on RGB, right? But I mean, there is something to what you're saying again, right? The fact that the Democrats don't play hardball, right? A hardball move would be, I don't know, pressure Ruth Bader Ginsburg. A hardball move would be Ruth Bader Ginsburg making that decision. And this is what Republicans do, right? As soon as there is a question, their Supreme Court justices step down and get replaced to make sure that that justice doesn't accidentally die during a Democratic term. The Democrats do not play hardball like that. They play the thing where it's like, well, you know, everything's going to work out. We're just gonna go on with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she says she feels okay, and whoops, she died. Whoops. But then again, they didn't expect to lose the 2016 election to Hillary Clinton. It's monumental weakness, historical uncharismatic trash candidate Hillary Clinton was selected over a candidate who had real organic excitement around him. And for that reason, we ended up with 4 years of Donald Trump, under which, yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was replaced with a right-wing justice. The, seat that Merrick Garland would have occupied was named by Trump, and one more. We got 3 Supreme Court justices under the Trump administration. That's what caused Roe v. Wade to go down. But yeah, you're absolutely right that Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have stepped down during Obama's first term. It's a lot of foresight to ask, I guess the opportune time probably would have been, first half of Obama's first term. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty early, but I mean, yeah, at any point where the Democrats have the Senate.
So in my last year in office, we put together a playbook for how to deal with the eventuality of a pandemic. Because scientists had been saying with globalization and travel, etc., rising populations, that at some point there was going to be a pandemic. And so I said to my team, we got to have a plan, just like you do for hurricanes or tornadoes or natural disasters. So we put together this whole playbook. And we practiced the playbook. We'd get all the agencies. This is how we're going to respond. This is how to make sure that the public health systems in all the states are working. Here's how we're going to think about the schools. And when Donald Trump came in, we gave over this playbook to them. And
Yeah, with the understanding that at the very least, the president, regardless of what party they belong to, would do right by the American people. This is the failure of the Obama administration, assuming that there's a reasonable party on the other side of things, assuming that the fever will break and the Republicans will become at least reasonable enough where you can say, okay, they're going to be like, all right, we're not going to fuck around with a pandemic. That's a real deal. That could happen. Even though we say that we don't believe in climate change, we all know that it's real, and we all know that we are likely due for a lot more infectious disease as the global temperature rises. But no, you had Papa Ivermectin, you had Mr. Bleach, you had Mr. Sunshine, you had Mr. It'll be over in just a month. You had the worst possible person that you could have during the greatest public health emergency in anyone's life, to anyone who's currently alive's lifetime.
But the point is, he ignored it. And 3 years later, a pandemic hits. Now, I want to really be fair on this, but I want everybody to pay attention. No matter who was president at the time, this was going to be a problem. This was a generational pandemic. People were going to get sick. People were going to die. We didn't have a vaccine right away. Businesses were going to have to shut down for a while. Travel was going to be restricted. But if you look at a country like Canada, their per capita death rate was 40% lower than it was here in the United States. So just do the math. That's more than 400,000 people. People's grandmothers, people's fathers, people's moms, who would have been alive if Donald Trump had just paid attention and tried to follow the plan that we gave him. It might have been somebody in your family that could have been impacted. So if somebody tells you that this doesn't make a difference, having somebody competent, somebody who cares about you, who listens to ordinary people, who listens to people who are experts in these areas, if you hear somebody say it doesn't matter, it does matter. And at some point it will make a difference to them. And if that's not enough, then remind them that, you know what, this election's also about more than policies, it's about values. And it is about character. Some of you know, I grew up, I didn't have a father in the house. My parents divorced when I was 2. I met my dad once for about a month. But I did have a lot of people around me. A stepfather, my grandparents, teachers, coaches, most of all my mom, who taught me the difference between right and wrong. Showed me what it meant to have integrity, to be honest, to be responsible, to work hard, to treat other people the way I wanted to be treated. And most of you grew up the same way. And I'll tell you the truth. You know, when I was a teenager, young adult, I didn't always live up to those values. I made mistakes, but I tried to learn from them. And as I got older, I continued to benefit from people who reinforced those values. Obviously, my wife, Michelle, but also friends and neighbors and coworkers. And I'll give you an example. Being here in Vegas makes me think about my friend Harry Reid, who was the president of the Senate for a long time. And he was a proud Democrat. He didn't shy away from bare-knuckle politics. Right? One day, a staffer handed him a draft of remarks in which he referred to himself as a former boxer, and he was editing it, and he crossed out former. He was a tough guy. He was 70 years old at the time, but he refused to see politics as just this battle between good and evil. He'd work with Republicans. He'd work with people who didn't agree with him.
Here we go again.
He understood we're all a bundle of contradictions. We all got flaws, but despite our individual differences...
Like, if the Democrats lose this fucking election due to trying to pivot to the center, I mean, they're hopeless. They're absolutely hopeless. Like, they're really misreading the room, too.
It's our collective humanity.
I think what it is that, like, people really don't want... Biden's got no business even running for president again, let alone, being president for another 4 years. And, people are sick of the fact we just be like to have the same matchup, Trump versus Biden 4 years later, is just like, it's unreal. And a lot of people just don't want to accept that reality. And so that's why his numbers were cratering, right? You switch him out with Kamala, and especially when she seems to be making decisions in you know, to the left of where Biden is, you've got excitement, you've got momentum, and you get her to a lead. For whatever reason, whoever's talking to her is trying to convince her that you're going to find your extra votes. You're going to find your, you know, the votes that the tiebreaker votes to the slightly to the right of the Democratic Party. You embrace the Liz Cheneys, the Dick Cheneys, the and you're going to win, right? And there's just, they don't understand. These people are losers. These never Trump Republicans have no constituency. There are political figures there. There are not voters there, right? She thinks that she's going to woo over the mythical, oh my God, what the fuck was her name? I have forgotten her name already. Nikki Haley, there we go. She thinks she can woo over the mythical Nikki Haley voter, and that's going to put her over the line, and that's just not how anything works.
What we have in common that makes a difference. That's what makes a country great. The point.
The Nikki Haleys of the Republican Party fold back into MAGA at the end of the day.
He had values, he had character. One of the most disturbing things about this election, about Trump's rise in politics, we seem to have set aside the values that so many of us were taught. A few weeks ago, one of the deadliest hurricanes in American history. President Biden, Vice President Harris, they're down meeting with local officials, comforting families, making sure aid is in place. Donald Trump and his running mate made up stories about the Biden administration withholding aid, giving it to undocumented immigrants, not giving it to Republicans, just making this stuff up. Even Republicans on the ground, even MAGA Republicans on the ground, said it wasn't true. So my question is, when did that become okay? How can it be okay? It doesn't matter where you stand on the issues. Doesn't matter what your party is. That kind of behavior is not okay. If your coworkers acted like that, they wouldn't be your coworkers very long. If you had a family member like that, you might still love them, but you wouldn't put them in charge of nothing. And yet, when Donald Trump repeatedly lies or cheats or shows utter disregard for our Constitution or just insults people, when he calls service members who died in battle losers or fellow citizens vermin.
The danger of this kind of thing is that the Democrats risk being characterized as objecting to Donald Trump's manners, to Donald Trump's tone, to Donald Trump's impoliteness, when in actuality it's a lot more than that, right? You've got the other attack that they've been doing. Donald Trump's a danger to democracy. Essentially, this doesn't work because it inflates Donald Trump's sense of ego, and enough Americans don't believe it, right? And then you've got the other attack that's worked, which is he's a fucking weirdo. This guy is weird, right? So that might actually be the Goldilocks spot in between. Let's like he's rude and he's obnoxious, which doesn't work, and he is the second coming of Hitler, which doesn't work. I think their best bet is to go with he is a weird old dude. Let us look at this weird old dude together. Let us witness this weird old dude being a weird old dude and vote for somebody else.
For the enemy within. People make excuses for it. They say, well, he's not serious. He's not. Everything a president says is serious. Everything that somebody who's aspiring to office is listened to. And people make excuses for it. They think, well, it's funny, or it's okay as long as our side wins. And I've noticed this especially among some men who seem to think Trump's behavior of bullying people or putting them down is somehow macho, sign of strength.
I mean, that's some incel behavior right there. Like, oh, did you see the guy? Did you see the guy bullying people? Oh, that's so fucking cool.
What real strength is. Never has been. Real strength's working hard. Real strength's carrying a heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions. Real strength is telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping those who have less or need some help, standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That's what we should want in our sons and our daughters. That's what I want to see in the President of the United States. And the good news is, you have candidates to vote for in this election that have demonstrated that kind of character, who know what real strength looks like, who will set a good example and do the right thing and leave this country better for it. Nevada, that's the choice in this election. It's not just policies on the ballot. It's about who we are and what we stand for.
Outlaw Jizzy Whale says, I'd rather have money in my pocket and be bullied. Well, you can get ironically enough, what you're going to get is you're going to get bullied out of the money in your pocket. What do you think? That there's not a fundamental contradiction between you, as I'm assuming a working class person, a person who works for their money, and an asshole like Donald Trump who exploits his money out of workers, who stiffs people regularly? You think that you're going to end up with money in your pocket and get bullied, but you're just going to get turned into a bitch. Okay? I'm being real with you here. I know it's embarrassing to admit that you are a sucker, but it is better to admit that you are a fool than to get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
So whether this election is making you feel excited or scared or hopeful or frustrated or anything in between, do not sit back and hope for the best. Get off your couch and vote. Put down your...
So you're going to say couch, you might as well invoke J.D. Vance.
And vote.
It still works, folk. He fucks couches.
Vote for Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. And Tim Walz is the next vice president of the United States. Vote for Jackie Rosen and this whole incredible Nevada Democratic ticket. Help your friends and family and neighbors and co-workers do the same. Because if enough of us make our voices heard, we will leave no doubt about the outcome of this election. We will leave no doubt about who we are and what America stands for. And together we will keep building a country that is more fair and more just and more equal and more free. That is our job, Nevada. Let's go get it. That's what we're going to do. I love that.
Wait, what just happened?
I love you back. I do.
I can't tell. Do we just loop?
That's why I keep coming back.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
But I am here today for a very important...
Okay, yeah, they loop it. They loop this. It had me fooled for a second. But yeah, I think his speech is 39 minutes long, and then they loop it for like 12 hours, apparently. But there it is, Barack Obama. Glenn Sutherland seems to think that the president magically makes the gas cheaper. It's because Trump is a good guy, right? Is that why it is, Glenn? Can you explain to me the mechanism? Were the Saudis afraid of Trump when he went and he put his hands over their orb in Mecca? Is that what happened? Did he use his Trumpian power to fucking bully the Saudis into lowering the prices? Is that what happened? How does this work? How do you think that this works? I really want to tease this out of you because I hear a lot of suckers out there like attribute like what we just confirmed was Obama's economy to Donald Trump, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. He gets in office and immediately you think that economy is because of that man. It's what he hasn't done a single thing yet, but he's the power of Trump. This is a fucking religion, and it's a bad religion. It's an exploitive religion. It's a religion that grabs you by your little ankles and turns you upside down and fucking shakes you for all you're worth. And I'd like to think that you're better than that, right? I'm not one of these judgmental people that thinks that just because somebody is, dressing up in a MAGA hat that they're forever condemned to being a sucker. But yeah, I mean, this is what you've fallen for. You've fallen for a con man, a person who's got the Midas touch, except instead of turning stuff into gold, he turns it into shit. Every single thing he has touched his entire life has turned into shit. This is somebody that was born with a silver spoon up his ass. This is a person that has never had to work a day in his entire life. There's a fundamental contradiction between his interests and your interests, right? Either the government is going to work to serve his interests, to make things better and easier for people like him, to make it so the exploiters can exploit better, or it's going to make it better for you. And they got all kinds of mechanisms to distract you. Oh my God, trans people are icky. I better vote for a Republican. Oh my God, an immigrant's going to eat my cat. I better vote for Donald Trump. All kinds of bullshit to throw in your way to distract you from the fundamental difference between yourself and the man who shits on a golden toilet, right? Oh no, he's just like me. He wears a shitty baseball cap. Yeah. He eats at McDonald's. He's just like me for real. I swear to God.
But now there are freaking communists invading.
I swear to God, there's one born every minute. Every minute out there's another sucker being born.
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are
that thinks that Donald fucking Trump has got their best interest at heart. That's rich. That is fucking rich. Trump is their god, make no mistake about it, yeah. Gas is expensive. If I suck Trump's dick harder, then maybe the gas will get cheaper. Is that what you're telling me? Maybe if I tickle the balls, then cheap gas will come out of his urethra. No, he's exploiting you. He's fucking you over. God fucking damn it. We went over this a little bit with Patrick Bet-David last night. Now, he throws another wrinkle into it, right? Because if you look at what Obama said in this speech, he's right. His economy went from fucked up and terrible to being, good economic times, which continued through Trump, which continued through the first 2 years of Trump. Now, Patrick Bet-David points out that this may have been facilitated in some part because of quantitative easing. But he doesn't tell you why quantitative easing happened, right? There was a crisis in which banks held America hostage. And I know you think I'm going to say, and brave Barack Obama stood those banks down. But that's not what happened. Oh my God. Did you miss the fact that I'm not a big fan of Barack Obama? Did you miss the fact that I'm not sucking the Democrats' cock in here? Did you miss the fact that that's not what this is about at all? That I said that you deserve better than Democrats or Republicans? What we've got in 2024 in the presidential election is, like I said, a choice between not great and completely fucked up. We had a choice. we had probably a worse choice in 2016 when you look at Hillary Clinton. Like, I would like to say that Kamala Harris's campaign and her administration are fundamentally different than Hillary Clinton's, but I'm seeing a little too much of that Clinton DNA. That being said, I do think that we have a choice now between not great and even worse. And yeah, with Hillary Clinton, the differences were even less clear. I mean, this is a problem of the Democratic Party. They have modeled themselves in the mold of Saint Ronald Reagan, who they venerate more than the fucking Republicans. But yeah, chat, eventually, we need a stronger prescription than any Democratic president, and I include Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Speaking of saints, I include FDR in that. We need a stronger prescription than any Democratic politician is going to be willing to offer, because at the end of the day, both liberalism and conservatism are two different forms of capitalism. And capitalism is fundamentally antithetical to your well-being and mine. Capitalism is the problem. Not trans people, not immigrants. Capitalism. Oh, tariffs. Oh my God. Yeah, we talked about tariffs yesterday. I don't want to get drawn into this tariff discourse again. All right, I'm trying to think. Where exactly are we at in the stream? It looks like we are at 55% of the dono goal. Again, if you've donated, let me know which of these topics you want to see. I've got NCC edits a video for you. I've got NCC plays Metaphor Refantasio for you. I've got NCC plays Fallout for you. Or I've got more Twitch, Hassan, Ethan, Klein drama. If you are a messy bitch, which I know you are. You know how I know you're a messy bitch? Because look at what you're voting for. Yep, 58% of you, messy bitches. Messy bitches. If you haven't voted yet, the poll is over on the full screen stream. You can access this full screen stream from the pinned tweet in the shorts chat. Come over and vote. Give the stream a like while you're at it. If you don't mind too much, it helps me out a lot. And you know, that's part of how we decide what we pick. The other half of how we decide what we pick is when you donate, you can let me know in the chat which of these topics you want to see as your bonus content, and I'll actually add your donation as a buff of sorts. Your donation will buff the score of your favorite topic in the poll. So yeah, that's the other thing that's the only thing that could save us for more Ethan Klein drama. But yeah, thank you for following me. We are almost at 10,000. Let me see what the sub count is now. 9,835. That's how many subs I have. And so that means that it's only 165 subs to go before we get that, what would it be, a fifth digit, right? Look, it's nothing to brag about. It's not anything that great, but I'm really happy to have grown to this level, and it's thanks to you. It's thanks to my community. It's thanks for all that support. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Thumb Gang. Thank you, Throne Gang, right? The reason I have this microphone that's, you know, a professional quality microphone and clean gain, the reason I sound so good, the reason I look so good, the reason that I have this that's behind me, and the key light that I'm using right now is thanks to people donating to my throne. So thank you to everybody who's done that and helped us crowdfund better stuff for stream. I'm still trying to get that that chair, the Save NCC's Butt fund. It came through, but it turned out that Throne did not have that chair. And so I'm going to have to look for something else to get instead and try to do that, but need to know if there's anything that we're missing. I feel like, yeah, we watched Trump, we watched Obama. I think we're going to go to the fun half of the stream right about now. Oh yeah, the other thing that I was considering was taking a look at the state of the race as it exists at the moment. Do you want to check in on the
Welcome back to today's video. Today is Friday.
Now.
God damn it.
Back to today's video.
All right, so we're gonna. There's new data, new as of 2 days ago, for every state. We're gonna see what the 2024 election is at right now. From what I've checked from 538, it could not be closer.
18th, 2024. Happy Friday. Today we are going to be talking about the 2024 presidential election according to swing state polling data that we see on 538 that we can use to map out our 2024 electoral college map. It's a very interesting one, and one that comes at a time where the election has become increasingly narrower over the past week. I know you've heard me talk about how close this race was and has been over the past 2 months, but it is now getting to a point where the odds in even places like the 538 forecast, which has pretty consistently had Vice President Harris up 55 to 45, 53 to 47, the race is tightening, and it's 52 to 48, and likely by tomorrow, it's very possible that our forecast here ends up somewhere around 50-50. And that's because the data points have really gotten tighter in these battleground states. Leads for candidates that amount to less than a point really drive us in the direction of unknowing how this election process is going to go. But what's always important, too, is tracking what the polls currently say about the battleground states, what the polls currently predict for the sake of the election, because that's really what will make or break the candidacies for both of these political parties. Now, I'm not going to spend time in looking at the polling data across the safe Democratic and safe Republican states. I honestly think that would be largely a waste of time. But what I am going to do here is just get us to a point of understanding, once we get past those safe states, what the numbers are saying in states ranging from Virginia to New Mexico to New Hampshire to Texas to Minnesota to Florida to Georgia to Arizona, North Carolina, Nevada, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all in reverse order here. Honestly, maybe I'll do that order just to make things a little bit more interesting. But all in all here, looking at the Electoral College from the lens of states that will likely be decided by margins of roughly, maybe, you're talking 8 points, 10 points or less. So let's go ahead and spend our time characterizing all of these states that are currently safe Democratic, safe Republican, not Pennsylvania. Let me go ahead and fix that one. One thing I will say, just as a side note, if you're ever interested in looking at what really strong electoral performances look like for the Democratic Party, the 2008 election is a really, really good example of how super strong races can translate, super strong national candidates, people like Barack Obama, can translate to really strong performances in the swing states. I was looking at some of those margins. I know we know them, and we know that Obama did so well, but the extent at which he did so well is really quite fascinating. If you look at Pennsylvania, you look at Wisconsin, you look at Michigan, this is why I constantly reject that notion that this race, is like 2008, because by, every standard, it's not. Right, that race was so much more lopsided in favor of the Democratic Party. Obviously, enthusiasm levels are at 2008 style high for Democrats, but it doesn't mean independents are as on board with the Democratic nominee this time around. So just look at that. If you're ever interested in looking at a bit of electoral history, you'll be shocked by some of those swing state margins. States like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Michigan was over 15 points. I kid you not. Right? Fascinating that Michigan could be on par with that of a safe blue state now, given how close it is. Really interesting. All around, very interesting stuff. Besides that point, I want to get back to our focus here, the 2024 election. I'm just about done characterizing all of the safe Republican states and safe Democratic states. I'm going to get 2 states out of the way, South Carolina and Alaska. New poll out of Alaska shows Donald Trump up 8 points across the state, a reduction in support from 2020, still an 8-point victory, up from 4 points that we saw roughly a month ago. In South Carolina, the polls here on average have him hovering roughly, somewhere around, 10, 11, 13, 14 points. It's going to be a likely state. I need to go ahead and actually open up Ohio so we can look at those states first. I realized that I wasn't able to bring those up prior to this. So Ohio and Iowa, 2 states that I don't really think we'd need to spend too much time talking about. What's interesting, though, is that of recent, the polls here in Iowa give Donald Trump roughly about a 5.5% advantage. In Ohio, an 8% advantage. It's always interesting that, there are some instances where Ohio is actually voting to the right of Iowa back in 2016 and 2020. That simply was not the case, but maybe it could be that Midwestern strength that we've seen from people like Tim Walz in areas like Minnesota, which neighbors Iowa, and also to Kamala Harris.
Okay, so, neighbors Iowa. I thought he was going to say Ohio. I was like, I got to correct you on Midwestern geography.
In some of these Rust Belt battleground states. Regardless, though, Ohio and Iowa come into the fray as likely.
I can't tell you how many times I get asked if Ohio could be a state that flips, right? I guess it's because people, it was a swing state back in the day, like
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
it was Ohio and Florida, believe it or not, that were swing states during the 2000s. It sounds wild to think about now, but it was absolutely true. These were, states that were very, very close, and indeed in 2000, some counts of the actual votes in Florida show that Florida went for Gore. However, the race was decided in the favor of George W. Bush, and Gore didn't really fight it. So we had the war on terror thanks to that. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I would think the Democrats would have still had some bad foreign policy for us had they gotten elected.
Likely Republican states. Now,
but yeah, if you're not caught up, the swing states now are Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Those are the states that could go either way. Most of the other states we know, like Ohio, it's going to go red. Iowa, it's going to go red. Florida, it's going to go red. Texas is a funny one because it's shown some moments where it looked like pretty close, but all in all, and especially given the corrupt Republican governor and attorney general there, it is going to go red, right? So, a lot of these states, we already know which way they're going to go. Most of these states, right? It's these 7, wait, am I counting right? Yeah, 7 states that are up for grabs. And of those 7 states, well, I mean, I guess he's going to show, let me not steal his thunder. Let's hear what Let's Talk Elections has to say about the current state of the race in the 7 swing states.
Now, Democrats are in a pretty solid position when it comes down to Maine at large and Maine's 1st district here.
West Virginia used to be blue, says Isaiah Baker. Isaiah Baker, how old are you? Yeah. Like, look, the South used to be blue. Do you know about that? There was a little bit of a realignment after the civil rights legislation was passed, right? Where a lot of the Republican strongholds, or a lot of the Democratic strongholds became Republican strongholds, right? But yeah, if you go back far enough, the South was very blue, including West Virginia. You may be thinking about the fact that the Democrats had a senator from West Virginia, that being Joe Manchin, pretty much a thorn in their side. They had a Democrat named Joe Manchin, who was often voting on the other side of things. So that may be what you are thinking of. That's the the most recent success of the Democratic Party in West Virginia was Joe Manchin.
here. But that second district is a little bit pesky. Same thing with Nebraska. We'll look at the polls there soon. But these remaining states are the ones that I do have substantive margins on, substantive data points on that we can use to pretty much predict, just based on what the polls are telling us about these states. Iowa and Ohio, South Carolina, and Alaska have already been filled in with the polls. But these are the states that really are going to see many more investments from the National Party, many more discussions and conversations around, who's going to win, who's not going to win this cycle in specific. We will likely see the least amount of investments in some of these surrounding states that are not as competitive compared to 2012, 2016, 2020, where there were heavy investments across the board and more, narrow-focused investments across those 7 battleground states that we've been talking about for quite some time. Now, I want to kick this off by looking at the state of Virginia, a state that right now Kamala Harris holds roughly a 7.5% advantage. And so when I talked to you about Alaska, which we saw a reduction in support for Trump, Iowa, we saw a reduction in support for Trump, Ohio's roughly even with that of the last election, Virginia, we're seeing a reduction in support for Vice President Harris. So this is a state that Biden won by 10 points. Kamala Harris leads by 7.5. It's still a likely victory. Granted, too, Democrats are not investing in the state the same way they did in 2020. They're not focusing on the state the same way they did in
All right, let's play this game. Let's play this game. Somebody told me that let's find out when West Virginia went Democratic last. And also, war on coal. Like, you might as well say the war on the war on like horse-drawn buggies, right? Time moves forward. (2004), 2000. Okay, so we're looking. When did Virginia last turn blue? There we go. 1996. Bill Clinton. That is. Look at that. That's a landslide. Do you see that? 379 to 159. That is the last time that Virginia was blue. 1996. So now we know exactly how old you are. No, just kidding. I'm not going to make assumptions, but you're dating yourself with your, with a, electoral map you remember. But yeah, that's a pretty definitive look at that. Florida, Louisiana, Arkansas, that's Bill Clinton's home state. Tennessee went blue. Tennessee went blue. Come on. So 96. 92, that's also Bill Clinton. Whoa, 370. So yeah, Clinton, I actually didn't realize that Clinton's margins of victory were so high. Oh no, there's oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that. 1988. Still blue there, West Virginia. 1984, nobody but Minnesota is blue. 1980, oh my God, Carter getting stomped. Georgia, his home state. West Virginia. Now remember, this is with a Southern Democratic candidate, right? That they're winning Maryland, West Virginia, and Georgia. And look at that, 1976. That's how far we have to go back to see the classic Democratic Southern coalition, right? That's Jimmy Carter's election. Now, yeah, like I said, again, Southern candidate probably helps them win the South. We go back to, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Nixon and McGovern, 520 for Nixon. Massachusetts, Maryland and DC. (1968). Now look at this. Look at this. We got this. We got this yellow. What is this yellow doing? What's going on with this yellow? This is George Wallace, former governor of Alabama. He is what you would call a Dixiecrat, right? He is from the old Democratic Party, that represents the South, that represents Jim Crow, that fought against civil rights, right? That's how far back we go here. And, he's left the Democratic Party at this point and is calling himself an American independent. But yeah, Humphrey with 191. Even together, these if Humphrey had won all the Wallace votes, he still wouldn't have. 64, that is LBJ. Yeah, that's pretty definitive. Oh, interesting, interesting. So here's the first time you see the South react to the Civil Rights Act, right? You got Arizona, that's Goldwater's home state, and what else does he win? Only Deep South states. And like all the Deep South states, right? Goldwater. Go back to Kennedy. Then we see the Democrats winning the South. And if we go back further than this, you're going to see that, the South be fairly... And there we go, West Virginia. Back to the Democrats. Anyway, let's get back to the election this year.
2016, the running mate for the party was from Virginia in 2016, so a lot more was at play and benefit for the Democrats in the past 2 races in Virginia, which might be the reason why this state is narrowing up right to a point where Kamala Harris is losing a bit of support but still largely winning the state. Obviously, that's something we can talk about at length in future videos, but for right now, we're going to move past it. Kamala Harris up 7.5%. When you take a look at the state of Maine, this is a state where I think the statewide average isn't something that is necessarily too important, but it is that 2nd district average that gives Donald Trump.
Wait, actually, that is kind of ironic. Irish Renter. Irish Renter says you can run as a felon and you can run as a felon for president, but in some states you can't vote as a felon. Yeah, you lose your right to vote.
Now, the University of New Hampshire released data points back in August saying Kamala Harris had a 5-point advantage. The most recent data points say that Donald Trump holds a 7-point advantage. The state of the race from August is certainly not the state of the race from September, and is certainly not the state of the race from October. One thing is consistent, the race is close. But
West Virginia isn't a southern state, says Isaiah Baker. Yeah, in terms of the Civil War, I think you're correct. Is that right? Oh my god, chat, no, there's no way. Actually, I don't fucking know. I should know this. I mean, I know most of the states, which side they were on. West Virginia. There were states which, although they might have either seceded or not seceded, where there was like there were different factions within the, not elections, election result. No, Civil War, that's what I want to know. The U.S. state of West Virginia was formed out of Western Virginia and added to the Union as a direct result. Whoa, okay, so just as I'm saying that there are states which had different factions, right? So what I'm learning here, and I didn't know this before, was that West Virginia and Virginia was part of Virginia. And when Virginia seceded, West Virginia seceded from it. Interesting. So yeah, historically not a southern state as we define it according to the Mason-Dixon line and the Civil War lines, but in terms of culture has a lot more in common with Kentucky than it does with Pennsylvania, for instance.
We did start to see some Republican reversions in terms of them winning back some support they lost at the high point for Kamala Harris. Regardless, though, when you average out these states, Maine's 2nd district becomes a lean Republican state. Might be a little surprising because it is to me. I think it's going to be a likely red district. But the polling data, when averaged out, gives Kamala Harris a better performance here than Joe Biden, but still a loss across Maine's 2nd and still a likely margin across the state. New Hampshire is the next state I would take a look at when it comes down to margin here. Kamala Harris holding a 6.8% advantage, largely running even with that of the last election in 2020. It was roughly 7.2%. So still something there for Democrats to improve upon, but regardless, you're seeing that state largely run even with that of the 2020 election, which is good news for Kamala Harris. Moving over to the next state, the state of New Mexico, Kamala Harris holds a 7-point advantage. Another reduction in support here, kind of in line too with what we've been seeing from the 2020 race. Those Sunbelt states, especially the border states, we've seen some reversions in support away from Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. Could be a variety of reasons. Could be immigration. Could be the southern border. Whatever it is. Could be, the loss in support amongst Hispanic voters across the country we've seen to the Democratic Party. These are things that are pretty consistent, and the Democrats need to overcome and combat and win back voters, because what we're seeing in a lot of these data points is that Hispanic voters are not solid. They're not solid on Trump. They're not solid on Harris. There is time and reason that there can be investments to sway these voters. That's why both candidates did the Univision Town Hall. That's why both candidates are running TV ads in Spanish.
God, we need to watch the Univision Town Hall. We'll do that tomorrow. How about that?
In Texas and New Mexico and Arizona, they're doing an intentional, personalized outreach effort on both sides of the aisle to win back voters that could be in their column, could be
Xenol tells me that red and blue didn't even happen until 2000, Gore versus the other guy. Yes.
The other column, and right now,
I did not know that.
Are up in the air. New Mexico is one of those states, which is why we were likely seeing a bit of decrease in support from the 2020 race. The next state I would look at is the state of Texas, which recently we saw a brand new poll today. Actually, I don't think it's here on the average. Donald Trump holding a 6-point advantage, roughly running even with that of the margin of the average here, but an improvement from the 2020 election and a likely characterization. Something that we can probably expect to, given the shift in New Mexico and Nevada and Arizona. Texas makes sense to fall right in line there as a shifting state, but still, Kamala Harris and, Tim Walz are in a position where Texas still is a more competitive state than it has been in many previous elections, with the exception of 2020. And that's fundamentally good news for Democrats, because even in a bad time where approval ratings surrounding immigration and the southern border are at an all-time low for Democrats, especially the incumbent president, if Kamala Harris is still coming within 6 points of the state, that means something for future elections and elections even beyond the immediate future.
Yeah, and the other importance of Texas is that there's a very competitive Senate race where Ted Cruz, one of the most uncharismatic people in the Senate, looks like he might actually lose that seat. And, I think it has honestly more to do with Ted Cruz's lack of charisma than it does with the Democrats do, tend to do better every election in Texas, but it's still, it's not in contention, right? So what is this? The dark red stuff is definitely going to be red. The light red stuff is likely red, and by likely red, I mean like most likely. Like it's very unlikely that Alaska, Texas, Ohio, Iowa, right? We take a large change in what we're seeing in the polls to turn those blue.
2036, that Texas is in play. Moving beyond that, we're going to take a look at Minnesota, a state that Tim Walz is from. Went to Biden by 7 points in the last election. I do think that the polling is absolutely missing something here. I do not think there's a circumstance in which Kamala Harris wins Minnesota by less than Joe Biden did, with the running mate being the governor of Minnesota, who has had more impressive victories in both cycles than Joe Biden, despite harsher odds in 2022. The results here, I think, in Minnesota are going to be pretty clear on election night, probably an 8 or 9 point margin. The polls, though, indicate that Kamala Harris is up by roughly 6 points. Looking at Nebraska, specific to that second congressional district here, they have an average, not an average, but they have a number of polls here. Kamala Harris, point being, is going to be in a likely characterization in Nebraska second. That race is likely going to be decided by 7, 8, 9 points. Very big advantage for Kamala Harris, an improvement off of 2020, because, again, nothing is ever consistent in American politics. Laugh out loud at that point. But Nebraska second. Likely for the Democrats. Florida, though, likely for the Republicans. Donald Trump holds a 5.3% advantage. It was a bit narrower before. The data seemed to suggest that Florida might be back in play. The data no longer suggests that. Florida becomes a 5.3% margin. It's 30 electoral votes. Pretty big victory for Donald Trump. You can expect to win it on election night. That boosts him up to 219 electoral votes. Now, I'm missing Colorado, which I completely forgot that I was missing. So we're going to go ahead and shift over to Colorado. I don't know if there's ever been pretty substantive data points since she became the nominee. I don't think so, even just based on looking at some of these numbers. The average here is that she wins the state by roughly a likely margin, but not an extensively polled state. Donald Trump actually was campaigning out in Colorado the other day. I don't know what that's really going to do for him, but seems to think it'll do.
Oh, no. So he's doing things like in Colorado, he was campaigning at Aurora in order to try to make the Venezuelan gang takes over the apartment complex story work for him. That's why he was in Colorado. He's been in California in order to raise money. There, he's not going to win California, but he can he can raise money out there. I'm trying to think of where else he campaigned that's just like there's no chance whatsoever, and it feels like he's wasting time. But there's reasons for that, and a lot of it is too because we're becoming. It's just like anything that can get in the news is good for him. So if he campaigns in California and it's picked up by a lot of different news outlets, then it kind of evens out.
So maybe it's worth his time. In Georgia, Donald Trump holds a 1.2% advantage. So looking at that data point, 1.2% advantage puts Donald Trump roughly at 235 electoral votes. He wins the state about a 2-point shift from the last election, similar to that of what we're seeing in those Sunbelt states like Arizona and Nevada and Texas. It's a pretty consistent shift nationwide. The question is, can Kamala Harris win despite the shift? We'll go ahead and wait and see based on some of these other data points. Arizona has Donald Trump up by 1.8%, very similar shift to that of Georgia. Very much seem to vote together as well. We saw it in 2020, 2016, 2012, 2008, 2000, 2004. Moving forward, they might vote together, and they might vote together again in 2024. The next state I'd look at is North Carolina, where Donald Trump's advantage is just 0.7%, and I say just 0.7% because it's actually a reduction in support from 2020. I think a lot of what we can attribute to that is the fact that Democrats are investing in North Carolina like there's no tomorrow. They're visiting the state a lot more than they did in previous elections, and just based on, again, focus groups of what Kamala Harris does in fact drive out amongst the Democratic electorate. You're talking about black voters in specific. You're talking about women voters. Huge chunks of the electorate in North Carolina comprise of a compounding set of factors for the campaign that could boost their base to turn out and vote. Makes sense that the state is a bit narrower than 2020, but still ends up with the Trump victory because at the end of the day, he holds the upper hand in some of these Sunbelt states. The next state I'd look at is the state of Nevada, where Kamala Harris holds the narrowest 0.7% advantage across the state. Now, not much data has come out of Nevada recently. Only a few recent points have shown Donald Trump in,
So that's where Obama was speaking, and,
very interesting position.
Democrats are also concentrating on Nevada.
Up by 4. Fabrizio Lee, they do a poll. Donald Trump sponsored it, so granted, keep that in mind when you're looking at these numbers. They see Trump leads by 3. The Wall Street Journal did a poll way back when in September, said Donald Trump led by 6. It really is all over the place. The point being, though, Kamala Harris holds a narrow advantage, and that puts her at 232 electoral votes, which is the number that Hillary Clinton got in the 2016 election. Same number that Donald Trump also got in the 2020 presidential election. And so, as we fill out, this could be a really interesting map. Should Donald Trump win these remaining 3 states, we'd end up with 306 to 232, which is the exact same electoral margin of 2016 and 2020. And, God forbid, in a way, 2024, because the discourse on that would be really, really annoying. But here we are, final 44 electoral votes. Let's start off with the state of Michigan. Michigan right now holds Kamala Harris at the advantage point of 0.6%, certainly less than where she was before. In September, she was leading by 3 points across.
And again, Michigan, more than any other state, the closeness of this election is a direct result of Joe Biden's horrible policy on Israel and the Harris campaign's inability or unwillingness to put some distance between themselves and Biden on this issue.
State today, it has absolutely narrowed. The support there has not increased for Kamala Harris. It has not increased much for Donald Trump either. The margins have narrowed for Kamala Harris. Decreased on her part, Donald Trump remaining roughly even. At his ceiling that we've seen, Kamala Harris holds a narrow advantage, boosting her up to 247 electoral votes. Now, when it comes down to Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris holds the narrow lead again, 0.4% based on those data points. 0.4% for Kamala Harris.
Now, I think he's disagreeing with, these are different numbers than what I saw in 538. 538 has Pennsylvania as even.
Bringing her up to 266 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 262. Now, this race and these 2 races, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and also a group in Wisconsin here, these 3 races are going to be amongst the closest of the cycle. Based on the data points, they are the closest so far, and I do think we are going to see these states take days to call. A lot of questions surrounding, what could have been done better for both candidates, given how close the margins were at. I remember that was the discussion in Arizona. In Georgia. In Arizona, it was the case of John McCain. In Georgia, it was the case.
Is this guy covering the betting market? You mean like poly market or?
All these things.
Or actual betting markets.
Too extreme for voters in Atlanta. In Wisconsin, it was the case of not visiting it as much and spending as much time because you were focused on Pennsylvania and Michigan. Point being.
You're curious how accurate the polls are. I mean, that's an interesting thing that you bring up, Irish Ranter. Irish Ranter's talking about like how accurate are the polls. So in the past, since 2016, there has been an issue of polls not being accurate. In 2016, the polls underrepresented the strength of Donald Trump. Not to the extent that most people think, but to enough of an extent where, it really did look like Trump would lose the election and he ends up winning. Obviously, when stuff is within the margin of error, then it's really within the margin of error. And all of these states, North Carolina, Georgia, well, I mean, I'm Georgia and Arizona, by his math, may be out of the margin of error, right? So those may be not solid, but pretty decent certainty of Trump winning those at the moment, right? But all the stuff that's like light colored, like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and I'm assuming Wisconsin, that is, leans. That is that's the slightest of a margin. And in fact, from what I saw, Pennsylvania seemed to be completely tied. But yeah, in terms of the accuracy of the polls, there were problems. They somewhat corrected for those problems. Now, we've seen other problems lately where the Democrats' votes are kind of underestimated, and that people think that's due to the effect of Donald Trump's Supreme Court repealing Roe versus Wade. That there's like an effect of that legislation being repealed that favors the Democrats that the polls are, for whatever reason, not measuring. But more recently, there has been a problem of what I would call like a flooding of the zone, right? In other words, there are a lot of polls being paid for or being run by organizations that are in line with Donald Trump. And so that may be a factor. It is possible. I have seen people start to, correct. That there are polls that try to count the other. There are poll aggregators that try to count the other polls and try to leave out the ones that are flooding the zone. The ones that are. It's kind of like grifting, right? Because if you can show a poll that has that looks good for Donald Trump, you're gonna get a lot of reach for that poll. You're gonna get a lot of attention. You're gonna get a lot of you're serving a need, right? You're filling a niche.
These states are states that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris can absolutely win. And based on where we are right now, Kamala Harris... But
yeah, I mean, there's reason... Long story short, there's reason to believe that the polls are overall better now than they've been in the past, 4 to 8 years. But there's also a reason to suspect that maybe there's still problems with them that, even new problems now.
Teams hold the upper advantage in Pennsylvania and Michigan, according to the polls, and Wisconsin, as the final state here, holds the narrowest advantage of 0.2%, despite being the state that Kamala Harris had the largest lead in back in August, around 4 points statewide. Today has narrowed to just 0.2%. Some recent data points showing some strong results for the former president on average here. A very, very...
Okay, so now keep in mind that this is 2 days ago. Things are extremely fluid, but the count that we're going to see here when we flip 10 electoral votes to Kamala Harris, that gives her the necessary 270, actually 276. It's a very close election. The loss of, oh my God, she could lose Nevada. Let me put it that way, right? So if this guy's right, if this turns out to be the way that the votes are counted, Kamala wins in Pennsylvania, wins in Michigan, and wins in Wisconsin. Even the loss of Nevada would leave her with 270 votes, which is theoretically a win. Now, there is the possibility of a faithless elector. I don't know how likely that is. It's actually becoming more relevant because counts like this, where it's really close, are entirely possible.
Very narrow advantage for Kamala Harris, which would bring her to 276 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 262. Now, the last thing I want to answer here is, do we trust the polls? Do we trust the polls to give us an accurate depiction of what the election actually looks like? And in a way, I say, maybe. I think when we look at data points like this and just how narrow they are, given that they give us a 3.5, 4% margin of error, It really isn't that easy to predict. And that's because while the polls on average might be telling us something, they all share similar averages in terms of error points. It could be as much as a Kamala Harris 4-point victory in Wisconsin or a Donald Trump 3.5-point victory in Wisconsin. And that's why it's really difficult to gauge the elections right now. Back in 2020, Wisconsin was a 7-point state in favor of Biden. We knew that the race would be closer than that, but even if the polls were wrong, there was enough margin of error there that Joe Biden would still end up winning the state. And he did. In Michigan, a similar story. In Pennsylvania, a similar story. But those are not the data points we're seeing for Kamala Harris. And this race, undeniably, is much closer for Democrats than it was in 2020. And a lot better for Donald Trump than it was in 2020 as well.
Is this parody, says Ryan Taylor? Unless you mean life, no.
This race is very much going to come down to the wire. Democrats should never and can never be complacent over the next 18 days, and neither can Republicans. These states are going to be determined just by a fraction of the electorate. Just a handful of voters out there who say, decide on election day. Now I'm voting for Trump. Now I'm voting for Harris. Those are decisions they will make that will dictate the future of this nation. And based on where we are right now, while the numbers may say that, Kamala Harris is losing North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, and Donald Trump is losing Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada, it could go in the entirely opposite direction.
It's important to understand that, right? Most of these swing states are incredibly close. I'd say within the margin of error, meaning that there is a great likelihood. I mean, that's why they're swing states. But, I guess what people expected to see was maybe that things would get less close. For a while, it looked like, Kamala was up and would continue to go up. And, things have kind of tightened up since then. And like from 538's count, it's virtually tied. I think they actually give Trump the edge, not Kamala. And but it's what is it like? I think it's 53-47 is what 538 says in favor of Trump. So this guy's showing a map that's slightly in favor of a very small Kamala Harris victory. 538 is showing a very small Donald Trump victory, which says to me that it's flip a coin at this point. Flip a coin.
How close these races are, how close the polls are, and where we are today is not super strong for either candidate and not a point of security by any metric, which is why every single point.
Ryan Taylor says polls always favor Democrats, except when they don't, Ryan. And when they don't is fairly recently. If you'd been listening, you might have understood the effect of Roe versus Wade on some recent elections, which should have gone more in the Republicans' favor, but failed to manifest in a lot of ways because the Republicans have become a victim of their own success in stealing the Merrick Garland seat, in naming a MAGA Supreme Court that has not only overturned Roe versus Wade, but also given Donald Trump free reign to commit crimes as long as they can be considered official acts of the presidency. Republicans may have actually done damage to their popularity. And that's what's been showing up in the last few elections. But like I said, this is a very close map. It could legitimately go either way. I don't see the polls changing a lot in the near future. And the near future is when the vote's going to happen, right? We're literally, oh my God, like 17 days out? Is that right? 17, 18 days from the, wait. It's less than that, isn't it? Yeah, we're very close to the election. And something could happen. Something could happen. Something could change, right? It could be vastly different. But at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that we're in for a very close election.
And every single thing matters from here on out between now and Election Day. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the top left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2024 presidential election analysis videos.
So what could affect this, you ask?
Back to today's video. Today is Sunday, October...
What could affect this? Stuff like this, actually.
20th, 2024, and today
when we talk about the ground game, we're talking about the get out the vote effort by the parties. which has an effect, not on how many people support which candidate, although I mean, I guess to a certain extent, right? But more so on who ends up going to the polls, right? It's each side's push to try to bring more people to the polls for their side. And this is what we call the ground game. This are your volunteers, at least in most cases, at least until this year. I mean, so the interesting thing about the ground game is that instead of having a ground game in every state, instead of having a legitimate get out the vote effort, Donald Trump outsourced some of these states to the likes of Turning Point USA, to the likes of Elon Musk, right? And when I say that it's normally volunteers, Elon's got something going on where he's trying to pay people to register to vote, which may or may not be legal. I guess we'll find out. But that the fact that they've outsourced their ground game does put them in a particularly vulnerable state. And if the overall ground game of the Trump campaign ends up being as weak as it looks like it might be, that might cause an overall drag on the ticket, on the numbers. And in an election that is going to be decided, if you believe the polls, in many cases by less than 1% in a lot of these important states, that's crucial.
We're going to be talking about Donald Trump's ground game and the failure on his part with a new outsourcing of his ground game to Elon Musk's super PAC, America PAC, that seems to now have data that internally reports that they have falsely claimed in 25% of instances, nearly a quarter of the doors that America PAC says that they have knocked on have actually found out to be potentially fraudulent, internally flagged by the Elon Musk team, by America PAC, that now has found its way to the mainstream media. And they've said that over the past couple of days, this is something that they are now actively working to try to combat. But at the end of the day, it is data that seems to have been falsified by members of the canvassing teams. And it's a ground game effort that will require a complete and total overhaul of those who currently exist in this position if it is to be done correctly, because after all, as of right now, 25% of what they seem to claim they have been door knocking at and for in these battleground states just simply doesn't seem to be reality. And that's a big problem for the Donald Trump team. I think when they look at this campaign and they look at where they are across the battleground states, they know it's going to come down to the wire. They know it's going to come down to who got their turnout done correctly, who got voters out mobilized, who got the enthusiasm.
Relatively Objective does not think that Trump will win Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Arizona. Why is this?
Gap secured, who was getting people to the polls in rather, a variety of different ways, whether that's early voting, voting by mail, voting in person on election day. There are so many different ways people can...
Like, I guess I'd say he's more likely to win Arizona than he is to win Pennsylvania or Michigan. But I feel like any of those states he could win or lose based on the polls right now.
Get out and vote. And it's the challenge here for Team Trump is that they have decided way earlier on that they were going to outsource their ground game for this election to Turning Point USA and to Elon Musk's super PAC. And that was a decision that very much seems, as of right now, to be a bad one in hindsight. Now, I want us to set the stage as to what actually happened here when it came down to the ground game efforts of the Donald Trump team leading into this election, because this is something that was very much foreseeable. But
there's a lot about Trump, his organization, I mean, the man himself and the people around him, that is just like profoundly inept and profoundly lazy. But I gotta say, I don't exactly understand why Trump does not have a get out the vote, ground team like every other candidate out there.
I want us to really understand exactly how foreseeable it was and what that really means about the election. What we know here is that Donald Trump's campaign team really is starting to do this autopsy. Republicans across the country, those outside of the campaign, are starting to understand what went wrong. How do we get to a point where 25% of our doors knocked in Arizona and Nevada are seemingly fraudulent? That people weren't actually knocking on these doors, that they were...
So people are getting paid by Elon Musk to do this work, ostensibly, and when they were able to... How do I say it? When they were able to fudge it, they fudged it. They ripped Elon off, I guess, 25% of the time.
At a field office or at home, saying that they were doing all of these things, saying that they were marking it, they're voting for Trump, they're voting for Harris, whatever it might be, doing things wrong, doing things right, whatever it is. We know that there's a bad thing going on when it comes down to door knocking and canvassing efforts on Team Trump. And so we can really unpack it here, as Republicans are really trying to do. And so it actually dates back a little bit earlier on to August. This was around actually June, July, August. So the time frame at which Biden was the nominee, Harris eventually became the nominee. This is an article published by the Washington Post on August 3rd. So right after Biden dropped out of the race, right before Tim Walz was chosen as the VP selection. So this was a time frame in which Donald Trump's team decided that they were going to join forces with a number of outside groups. On one end, it was Elon Musk's Super PAC. On the other end, it was Turning Point Action, which is that Charlie
Philip Blair says, how do we get paid? What, you mean for election stuff?
Kirk organization, Turning Point USA. All of these organizations were going to be this new ground game strategy. They sold Donald Trump largely on this effort. And this is actually a big point of contention for the RNC. I don't know if you remember, but Laura Trump, a relative of President Trump, has decided that she's now going to be the RNC chair. She wanted to do it. Ronna McDaniel was forced out of the party by Donald Trump and his allies. And so Laura Trump became the co-chair of the Republican National Committee from that point. They pretty much got out everybody who would object.
Obsessive Audio says Kamala has a way better ground game. Democratic candidates have a better ground game too in a lot of places. That does seem to be true. I do agree with you, Obsessive Audio. I will say, though, that there is her ground game is not what it could be because of Biden's choices in terms of foreign policy where it regards Israel and Palestine. Now, it might not seem like it's an election changing issue, right? Because if you look at it, if you look at Gaza as an issue, it doesn't even rank in like the top 5 issues on people's minds. People aren't saying that they're deciding the election based on foreign policy. However, you've got to remember that the kind of person that shows up to knock on doors for you, the kind of person that does this kind of work that we call the ground game, is not going to appear in the same numbers that they would if you were perceived as somebody who's going to change Biden's policy, who's going to bring an end to the ethnic cleansing in Gaza, than if you're a person that's going to continue. And Kamala has in every way presented herself as someone who's going to continue Biden's policy. And for that reason, she's not going to have the support that she would have otherwise had. This is one area where the Democrats really feel their pivot to the center in a profoundly negative way. And as much as they do it ostensibly for pragmatic purposes, like, that they think that moving to the center is going to help them win the election, it comes at a cost. And this is one of those costs.
To a decision like this one, where they were going to bring in Charlie Kirk and his allies prior to the 2024 election, Turning Point USA had zero to do with the ground game efforts of Donald Trump's campaign in 2020 and 2016, had zero to do, Elon Musk had zero to do with how people were mobilized in previous...
Sassy Saucerai says, I live in a swing state and I haven't seen any ground game from either candidate.
Elections. The RNC handled all of these things. Now, they've decided to outsource it. And so did Donald Trump's team, which is now one and the same, given that the RNC is ran by a family member of the former president. And so Donald Trump's team, again, decided in August they were going to gamble on this new ground game rules, on this new ground game strategy, rather, for their campaign. And it was either going to pay off very well or it was not. But at this point, when they were making these decisions, they were running against Biden, right? This is something that came out August 3rd. But for weeks prior, months prior, we had heard these conversations were being had. People who are, privy to the information that needed to be known, to be told to the journalists.
So they thought this would be a advantage, I guess, right? Handing over their ground game to Turning Point USA and to Elon Musk's Political Action Committee.
We're leaking things to the press. Donald Trump's going to go to Turning Point. He's going to phase out all of the members of the mainstream GOP and opt for his own style of campaign this cycle because he knows or believes he's going to beat Biden. There's no wrong way to do things. So why not integrate more factions of the party that can leave you a longer standing legacy? And so that's what Donald Trump tried to do. He tried to bring all these people, and we saw the warning signs.
Echoplex Media.
Turning Point USA has never ran a presidential campaign before.
Welcome to the stream. You have activated my stand. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing, Echoplex? Good to have you here. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, streamer. We're right in the middle of analyzing one aspect of the 2024 electoral race between Trump and Kamala. This aspect being the ground game, right? This is the get out the vote effort. I just got finished describing one of the reasons that Kamala's side is not going to have as strong of a ground game as they could have otherwise had. You know, just basically Biden's stance on Gaza and the effect of that on the type of person that's likely to engage in these activities, that's likely to volunteer for these get out the vote kind of efforts, right? So that's kind of a point against Kamala Harris's ground game. Now we're looking at Trump's ground game, and strangely enough, he tried something new this year. He outsourced it based on some law changes to political action committees like Turning Point USA and Elon Musk's political, what is it called, America PAC or something? Hitting me with that raid twice. Hey, what's up, Poo Poo Sama? You are Poo Poo Sama. Welcome. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion. Now, this might have an effect on the election, which right now, at the moment, seems to be a coin flip. It looks 50-50, right? We looked at one model of the, the current voting, which suggested that Kamala Harris had ever so slight of an edge. And then we looked at 538, which shows Trump as having an ever so slight of an edge. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. It could not be tighter, but things like this ground game could have an effect. Oh, I'm muted.
The Trump team really goes to show that the political expertise of the Trump team probably isn't as strong as we otherwise might think, despite some of the numbers looking good for the former president. But as I was saying, the Republican Party had raised these alarms a bit earlier on, saying, this is something that's going to be a problem for us if it doesn't change between now and Election Day. And so far, it really hasn't changed. This is an article from September 30th, so not too long ago, but absolutely within a time frame to start questioning, is this ground game effort actually working? And again, at this point, there were no articles about fraudulent numbers, about, incorrect data submissions, about people who are supposedly working for the campaign not actually doing what they're supposed to do. The Republican Party raised the alarm bells. They were saying, Donald Trump's ground game really isn't what it used to be. And even if it's not necessarily, something that seemed to have been priority for the Trump team when they were running against Biden, it absolutely should be when you're running against Harris, and Democrats are at an all-time high when it comes down to campaign enthusiasm. And so Republicans are raising these...
That's cope. That's cope. Democrats were at an all-time high. Yeah, I'd say so. Right? There was a lot of hope. There was a lot of hope when Biden stepped down. There was a lot of hope when Kamala was chosen, and there was a lot of hope when Kamala named Tim Walz as her vice president. Since then, there has been a series of unfortunate decisions by the Harris campaign, and that has greatly diminished the enthusiasm and the excitement. It's definitely better than if Biden was running, but it's not what it could be, and it's not what it needs to be.
Alarm bells absolutely mattered. It brought us to a point where, there were articles being written about it. Republicans were speaking to the mainstream media in an effort to potentially plea with that of the Trump team to really start to notice that, hey, something's going on with your ground game. You really need to get it up. They ignore it. And not only do they ignore it, there are other instances in which circumstances arise where it shows the ground game really isn't as strong as you otherwise might think. They're saying they're using these untraditional strategies to draw out battleground voters. They are essentially working against the playbook that won them the 2016 election. And actually, too, this is something, again, we've known for a while. Now people are raising even more alarm bells. But even recently, Donald Trump's ground game was undercut by slow internet that crashes the app that they use. This is the app that Donald Trump uses for his ground game efforts for people to register that they've knocked on doors, to sign up for turf, for all of these different things that are necessary, things that the Democratic Party has been able to refine and do.
I think I remember hearing about this. There was something about the, it relies on Wi-Fi, and it's kind of like if you're in an area where They're like you literally have to find like an open Wi-Fi network.
Very well, because they've done it consistently on a similar platform. This is the first time a major presidential campaign is outsourcing their ground game efforts in such a poor manner, right? Whenever things are outsourced from a campaign, sometimes, for instance, a really good example of this is that sometimes presidential campaigns will make a decision early on: are we doing all of our advertisements in-house, or are we outsourcing it to very strong advertisement groups? And that can usually be an indicator of, one, how much money they have at the time, but also two, what they think is the best for them. Do they have a more organic staff than paid people who are specialists in this field? Maybe, right? And so that's something that you can take away from that. It's not as important, I would say, who's making your ads as it is when it comes down to who's doing your ground game, because this is really what drives out voters. And so this is something that was written on October 14th. So this was 6 days ago. This was before the story talking about the 25%. This is before the story talking about, all these different things, even before this recent story that I just showed you from Rolling Stone that said Republicans are telling Trump that Elon Musk's super PAC is blowing it. And now we know for a fact that they are. And I think that's really going to be a major problem when it comes down to some of these battleground states. I remember, how ground game really made a difference in the 2022 midterms, and how Democrats getting out the vote earlier on was able to build up a firewall, as we, on social media, on election Twitter, whatever it is, like to refer to that buffer that one political party has in advance when it comes down to early voting, enough so that it can counteract any of the returns that we see across the state on the day of the election. Because Republicans typically vote on election day, Democrats typically vote early. They vote by mail, absentee, whatever you want to call it. They are getting their vote cast earlier on. Republicans are waiting until election day. And so I think a big part of the problem here too is that when you are falsifying data, right? When you are saying, I knocked on this door, but I didn't, you are doing a major disservice to a campaign, because they're working under this assumption that this door was knocked on, these people have voted, that they can take them off their list, and it ceases future communication, right? It ceases another canvas from going up to that door and saying, did you actually vote? People aren't doing those things. And then when you mess up the data, and when you hire people that mess up the data, there's so many different reasons why this is just a wrong and bad situation for the Republican Party. And when it comes down to how you can be practical in a circumstance like this, how do you arise out of the ashes and build it back up, yada, 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 you have to think about it from this perspective. We are 16 days out from the presidential election. We are very close until election day. And so the idea that the Trump team can afford, or Elon Musk's super PAC can afford to field full-time volunteers, full-time organizers, full-time canvassers in these battleground states to knock on doors, they have some bad apples. Very clearly, they see this revealed, and they talk about it internally, people who are falsifying canvassing efforts. When that team talks about that, and they have to make a decision if they're letting people go, they mentioned this in the article, if you want to read the full thing at length, they're worried that they won't be able to replace these canvassers in time right before the election. And that's a very valid point, right? On one end, you're looking at it saying, these people screwed us over, but if they were a year out, absolutely replace them. But 16, 17 days out, can you replace someone? Absolutely not. It's so difficult to do, and the idea that people can just upend their lives for politics in the final 2 weeks of a campaign just simply isn't going to happen, and it absolutely is not going to be worth their time. They're going to have to do a day of training. They're going to have to do a day of orienting. They're going to have to waste all this time, and so now, the Elon Musk super PAC is stuck in two battleground states with people who are falsifying data, according to their own report, who are not actually knocking on doors. And these are the people that they're going to have to stick it out and work with because of how close this election is. But I can't say that this is something we didn't see coming, right? Republicans raised this concern in September. In fact, they talked about it way earlier on. This is something that many Republicans were apprehensive about from the very beginning, from those ongoing conversations from June, July, August. They were saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Don't go to Turning Point USA. Don't lean into this organization that has no electoral history. And when they actually did do any type of electoral campaigning, I said they never did a presidential campaign, but they did Senate campaigns, and I can tell you just how those states went. Nevada, Arizona, good examples of how when you outsource the get out the vote efforts, you have an intentional targeted effort from organizations like Turning Point USA, Democrats win. And so when you're falsifying data, Democrats win. Because what it means here is that in these states and in areas like Nevada, there is a very difficult way, very difficult reality the Republicans might have to face, that maybe had they done something differently before the election, they would actually be able to win these states should they lose them, right? You look at it and you say, if Nevada is to be decided by the same margin that it is according to Catherine Cortez Masto, and again, just humor me for this point, because I don't know if Kamala Harris is going to win the state of Nevada by 0.8%, but assuming she does, you have to look at it from that lens. I'm Charlie Kirk. I'm whoever this is from Turning Point USA. I made this decision for the Republican Party to use my platform, use my campaign, all these things, and you lose. And you lose because you had all of these things that people were raising red flags about. that people had major concerns about. You had a report that you internally found out that some of your own staffers are falsifying data in Arizona and Nevada, 2 states that do matter amongst the most across the country. I think even matters more than some of the other battleground states we look at. These states really do make a difference. And when you make a mistake, like trusting Turning Point USA with circumstances like this, they practically ran Blake Masters' campaign. And Democrats, I'm sure, are glad that they did, because Blake Masters lost by 5. And so that...
Yeah, if not, we'd have another J.D. Vance. If you don't know who Blake Masters is, he's another Peter Thiel acolyte.
That is the reality, and that is the circumstance we work with when it comes down to the 2024 election. That maybe this could have been the time to shine for Elon Musk and Turning Point Action, but it simply was not. And when you have data points like this, it really becomes a problem. Because it isn't just that, voters are being knocked off as having voted or whatever that might, whatever damage that does, because it absolutely does damage, right? In Pennsylvania, you can see Republicans are still lagging Democrats when it comes down to early mail-in ballot requests. When it comes down in some of these other battleground states as to who is returning the ballots, states like Michigan and North Carolina, when the Democratic Party is able to tell who's returned their ballot versus not, you can more intensely target your message, right? You can focus on these voters who haven't voted. You can tailor your ending message to those independent voters that might be waiting because they're on the fence versus Democrats that get out the vote in the first week or in the first...
Yeah, I would almost say that if Kamala ends up winning, it's going to be because of a better organization, right? Like I said, it could be bigger. It could have more excitement. It could have more volunteers. Had Kamala been willing, had maybe even Biden been willing to do more on Gaza, right? But, as much as it's not a main issue for the majority of the voters, the demographic that does these get out the vote efforts are college age people. And those are the people who are going to either, just be checked out or maybe not even supportive of Kamala Harris because of just the utter disgust that they've felt from Biden's policy in Gaza and Kamala's seeming endorsement of it, right? If she's planning to do something different, she really hasn't signaled that. So
day of early voting, and you no longer need to say, I now need to be knocking on their door because they've already voted. Knock on the next door. Save time, save money, save resources. That's one part of it. Another part of it, too, is just simply speaking to the core of Donald Trump's campaign. There have been many moments in which there have been major missteps from the Trump team, despite their strong electoral, prominence right now when it comes down to the 2024 election. Given where Joe Biden is in approval, given where we have, in terms of the nation's view on things like the economy and inflation, in theory, a Republican should be doing well in this election based on those metrics alone. But they aren't, because Donald Trump is not the right messenger. He's not the right person to do it. And we're seeing that when it comes down to how his campaign conducts itself, how his campaign, focuses on getting out the vote, focuses on reeling people in, building out this big tent, just like Democrats have, that someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders can be in the same party as Liz and Dick Cheney. Weird reality, our reality, whatever it might be. But when you're looking at, all of these different factor points, there's a multitude of reasons why this race is close, and the common denominator is Donald Trump and Donald Trump's lack of political instincts. And this reveals yet again another instance where Donald Trump is choosing a group, choosing an organization, choosing a person to run his campaign or to run wings of his...
He does have a tendency to pick the people that he selects for, to be part of his cabinet, or in this case, the people that he wants to run his campaign. He does have a tendency of picking the people that kiss his ass the hardest. And those are not always the best people for the job, right?
His campaign strictly because he agrees with them ideologically, but may disagree with them on how they conduct a campaign. Because as we know so far, it doesn't seem to be going too well. And so I'd be interested to see with the final margins in Nevada and Arizona to see if this might have made a difference. And I know we might be thinking nothing this seemingly insignificant makes a major difference, but it does when you're falsifying data. And when it does, when you aren't able to tell who actually was knocked on or not, you aren't able to tell how some of these voters have engaged with the supposed canvassers that went to their door that never actually went. Now, enough on the point of, all this conversation around the leak, around this report. Obviously not great for the Republican Party, but this election is still close. Donald Trump can still win, and he's pretty close to victory right now in comparison to where he was a month ago or 2 months ago. But the race still very much a toss-up. 50-50 at this point, but Donald Trump may be lagging behind in about a week or two or on election night, given that he just simply can't mobilize the base like Democrats can, and the people that he's trusting to mobilize that base is lying to him and lying about the data that they're revealing, and now it's getting to the press. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already.
All right, we're going to end the short stream.
Saturday, October 19th, 2024, and today we are going to be talking about the Kamala Harris campaign and their priorities in the final 17 days.